Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Logan, the drunken metalhead who muses, and tonight we are doing a fairly important stream in my eyes. Uh, for for me, this is a ranking and just overall discussion about one of the most important metal bands that I kind of started listening to back right when I was getting into extreme metal. What kind of makes this a little more special? I am joined with a special guest. Let me see if I get this right. Over there, we got not only a fellow Mastodon fan, but it is my brother who I probably inadvertently indoctrinated into liking this kind of crazy off the wall sludge band. So, Mark, what's up, man? He goes by the Bioknight for
That's my YouTube
the rest
handle.
of YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep, in the YouTube comments, he is the Bioknight. But tonight he's just playing Mark, and I appreciate you hopping on, man. Like, this is cool. It's good to be able to do this stream and talk about a band that was extremely important to me, and then at the same time realize that you were also listening to it as we were kind of growing up and going through some formative years and stuff, and just getting into heavier music. So appreciate
you definitely
you
got
on.
me into it,
dude. And these guys are quick. We could be brothers. We could be brothers. So, some might guess, but yeah. So I really excited to talk about Mastodon. I've been listening to them since like 2011, 2010. They were one of the first bands that kind of pushed me into extreme metal, and they've just been a band I've been able to kind of grow with, like, as I've continued to get into this music and really just music in general. They're one of those rare bands that I've kind of just stuck with, like other bands, they'll release an album where like, I don't know if I want to go there. This is not, this is an album that is not initially what I wanted when I got into this band or was looking for. To list some examples, Amon Amarth I got into about the same time, but we get to the Berserker.
Yeah,
and
that was like immediately.
No, that was they did Deceiver of the Gods and Yam's Viking I like, but Berserker was a little step too far. I got into Between the Buried and Me around the same time, but I've kind of dropped off from them just because they're a bit much. They're like dove way too deep into the prog realm, But Mastodon was one of those bands where like they've changed, and a lot of other people I know are in that boat of, they've changed too much. They've gone one step too far. But with Mastodon, I've enjoyed sticking with them through the change, as Seagull over here says, to the bitter end. So, which we'll see. They're still going, but yeah, no, it's been great being able to keep up with these four dudes from Atlanta, Georgia, and see them live. I am also seeing them live tomorrow night. I am going up to Asheville for a chance to catch them with Gojira on like the Omega Monsters tour or whatever the hell it's called.
That'll be good.
I don't know. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
They're the headliners for that one, right?
I think they've been trading off,
Okay.
Like one night Gojira will do it, then the other night Mastodon will do it. So I'm curious to see, because I'm expecting Gojira to be a little bit more of an intense show than Mastodon. But I think where both bands are currently at, it will be a good like complementary billing. So, dude, I'm excited. But also, as I said, just this is a band that I've been with for over a decade now, and it's just cool to revisit a discography that I have that much history with. And I don't know if you felt this at all, but I definitely got a little nostalgic. There was some nostalgia with a couple of albums, one in particular, which maybe we'll both mention.
Wow.
You might guess, but there were some albums that really took me back to a certain time and place. And what was funny is like a part of going back in that nostalgia was, you sometimes you think of people as well, and I thought of both of my brothers, while listening to this stuff, you and Parker. So that's why it's so cool to have you on, because you both are very much attached to this band's discography.
Yes, I remember listening. We have the same first album we listened to, right? From this band. I don't know. I listened to it from you. You were the one who bought the album. But
maybe we can. For me, my first was Leviathan.
Okay.
Like that was the first one that I found secondhand, and my first introduction. As I said, definitely a big introduction to extreme music. And then the first album that I was actually following the band as they were releasing stuff was The Hunter. So
yes,
is that the one you were kind of thinking of?
That's the one that you first played all the time, that I remember you playing all the time.
Yeah, because it was a little bit more palatable, and there's some songs on there that just beg to be played loud and often and with other people. Like it's a lot easier to listen to Curl of the Burl than it is to listen to like a track like Megalodon.
It is easy to listen to.
I Am Ahab or some shit like that. Like that, The Hunter is when they were the pop band, Mastopop, they were putting out. So
it is one of the easiest albums to listen to. But
it's definitely up there. So I guess before we kind of dive in, let's say what's up to the people. We got Seagull, and then
some
Rick over here. Sup, Rick?
Dreadful Minutes, Rick.
The Dreadful Minute. Yep, that's Rick. Then we got Kellen.
Killing
for Company, and then we got Jeff over here. Which Jeff, this is after the extinction.
I love dinosaurs too.
After the extinction of the dinosaurs, though. We could talk about Sabertooths if you want. Sabertooths or the giant sloth?
Smilodons.
Some Smilodon action.
Yeah. Well, what about cave bears? No.
I'd be here for a cave bear. Yeah. Jeff just wrapped up a cool interview with a dude from ISIS, Aaron Turner, which if anyone wants, I'd recommend checking that out. Did not have the chance when it was live, but I will be revisiting that for sure in the coming days. But yeah, I guess you ready to dive in a little bit?
Yeah.
Sweet. So first, this stream is sponsored by a brewery out of Atlanta, Mastodon's home state. So our beer sponsor is Sweetwater Brewing. One of my go-to breweries for gas stations or really anywhere. They make a wide variety of beer, all centered around being like skunky kind of weed forward IPAs and stuff, if you will. So this is a pineapple.
Going coastal.
Going coastal. So cheers. Mark, what you got?
I just have some Evan Williams on the rocks. That's
fucking Evan Williams. What a bachelor you are, man. Is that just
barely worth the price?
Is that the green label?
No, it's the black label.
Oh, you're fancy.
Yes.
Parker, weed has taken. Oh no, sorry. Beer. I caught myself. Beer is at the next level now, where they're combining weed with it.
Right, pure weed.
Mm-hmm. And also how you describe beers has taken a downward turn.
I prefer hoppy, or
Yeah, there's
I do
definitely
prefer
hoppy here.
some citrusy ones, but I'm not a big fan of pineapple.
This is definitely very pineapple, very citrusy. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Uh, dude, yeah, Jeff over here is doing a interview with Gorguts frontman Luck LeMay on Thursday.
Oh,
So dude,
cool.
I am pumped for that, Jeff. That's gonna be awesome. I'm waiting here for the scoop on Gorgut stuff. And cheers to Seagull. But no, let's dive in. So introduction wise, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious like what the first song would be for me. Blood and Thunder. Probably
Hmm.
just heard it because I mean, no matter how you slice it, Leviathan is a huge album for the metal scene during the 2000s. I mean, that really did a lot to put I think extreme metal that wasn't metalcore back on the map and back in like the popular eye, you know?
Hmm.
Like if you think about it, it's like 2004. So we're, new metal is a decaying carcass right now.
Right.
But we got bands like Killswitch Engage, God Forbid, um,
Oh yeah.
All That Remains, shit like that. With we're still balancing out clean singing and breakdowns, and it's
Hmm.
better, but it's not like a balls to the wall metal album. And I think Leviathan really did a lot to bring it back to the forefront. So a lot of the blogs and people that I followed initially when getting into metal talked about Mastodon and specifically that album all the time. So uh, definitely heard Blood and Thunder from there, and I definitely remember it being a lot. And when I picked this album up in used bin, it was definitely a lot. And this was one of those albums that really helped me to figure out how to listen to extreme metal.
Hmm.
Like how to be able to stomach how to be able to stomach a 40-minute album of with a lot of intensity and just crazy vocals, um blistering drums. Just it was definitely an exercise in my patience as a music listener for like 2010 or whenever I found this. So
Hmm.
what was your introduction?
My introduction was Curl of the Burrow, right?
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, you're probably playing the Hunter in the car or something like that. And then I looked it up on YouTube later and just kept listening to it.
Yeah. It that's a that's a great first song. I mean, it's one of their hookiest songs. It's like almost annoyingly hooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a compliment, but at the same time,
Yes.
like that's the whole song is the hook, which I'm,
Hmm.
we'll get there, but
Yeah.
yeah. And for you, did you dive deeper into their material at the time, or did you kind of just
No,
leave
I
it to
just
like
stuck
whatever I would play and stuff?
just that and listened to the Hunter, and then I listened to Once More Around the Sun when it came out, and then the
Yeah,
next uh, Emperor of Sand.
because I know Once More Around the Sun was very similar for me, where as soon as it came out, it was probably in the car all the time.
Hmm.
I was probably playing it at home and
Yes.
not out over headphones, definitely over speakers and stuff.
You only used headphones when running.
Yeah. Yep. I've had to tone down a little bit since then. So
Well,
with blaring music throughout the whole house. Uh I'm sure mom was like wishes
well,
that I was like that when I was at the house. But so real quick though, why did you want to do this discussion and kind of like deep dive, if you will, tonight? Like what? Because like listening to those two albums is only 1/4 of the catalog.
well, you know, the 5 years ago, probably before you left for Charlotte, right? I started listening
Yeah.
to Leviathan a lot more.
Yeah.
So, and that's still part of my regular repertoire of, it's all my shuffle that I just play all the time. So it's mixed in there with power metal and a bunch of other stuff. But whenever it comes on, it's great.
The whole album is like
Yeah, I just throw in
cool.
I don't make playlists. I just throw in everything.
See what happens
in the kitchen sink, and
that would be a
shuffle.
bit. I think a bit jarring when you're like listening to power metal and then Island comes on, or because man, that's not Halloween or Hammerfall or.
No, I don't have Hammerfall on that list actually, but I just don't own any of their albums.
It's fine by me. Hammerfall. I'm trying to get more into power metal, which we'll have to, mainly because of you, by the way. So for everyone in the chat, this is the guy who's been initially into power metal. Like that was kind of the genre that you clicked with when it came to metal. Like it probably started with whatever I was playing.
It was Blind Guardian. You played Mirror Mirror.
That would So I did have Nightfall on Middle Earth, and I loved Mirror Mirror in a certain section of that album was always on rotation. But I think you really took it and ran with it, and that was your, kind of your music than mine. So to me, it's a cool distinction. So we come at metal music from a very different place, but there are these bands that we can really both connect equally together on, and Mastodon is one of those bands for sure. And I think one of the peak of that connection for us was we both saw them live in 2018, and that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, they were headlining for
Primus,
sure. Right? No,
they were opening. They opened for Primus.
Primus was headlining.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, that was awesome show. And it was just cool to share the experience, with you. But yeah, that's our introduction. So let's kind of introduce the band. So for me, part of the reason why I adore this band so much is they just seem very approachable, very salt of the earth kind of dudes. It's just a story that you can really follow, right? Like there's not a tumultuous history here. It's just these four guys. We got Brandaler on drums and later vocals as well. Troy Sanders on bass and vocals. Brent Hines on lead guitar and vocals. And then Bill Kellner, what's his last name?
It's something like that.
Yeah. On rhythm guitar.
Should have it up here.
But from like their everything but their first demo, actually.
Kelleher?
Yeah.
It's
everything but their first demo, it's that lineup. Like they're one of those few bands that has had the same lineup from their first main release to until now. And it's made it really cool to watch them grow. Because I think here's the other important part about Mastodon is I think you can tell that all four of them are equally involved in the songwriting and in the creation of the music. Like there's not just one person who is the face or two people who are the face. It really seems like it's all four dudes very equally sharing in the inspiration and the writing of the music and the whole concept and idea of Mastodon. So I think that makes it special, and I really can't think of too many other bands that are like that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Where it's just the same four from the beginning till
I can't either
till now, and they seem like they like each other, and they also they don't take themselves too seriously, like at all. And I think that kind of goes a long way. But they do when they need to. And we'll definitely talk about some albums which are like very dark and I'd say more serious. But then at the same time, there's some really fun material here. And I think if you ever watch behind the scenes footage or like the making of documentaries for some of these albums, it just comes off very, very fun. Like just a bunch of really friends that like to poke at each other, make fun of each other, and just don't take any of it seriously at all. So
their music, though, is pretty. It doesn't have that tongue-in-cheek feel that you get in a lot of power metal bands, where it's like Halloween has so many joke songs. Like half their albums are all joke songs, and
you're right. It's not quite that.
There's like no joke songs at all on. Like, are there any?
I guess it's more of like the B-sides and stuff and the covers, and I think some of the choices that they make songwriting wise is like so off the wall. You're like,
I think
you're having fun,
There is one album which I think is the most
Parker
messing around. Oh, that too.
Yeah, their music video. They've got some funny music videos, which we'll definitely talk about. But yeah, there's a certain album that I think they're messing around. I don't know if you're talking about Once More Around the Sun, but to me, that's their most lighthearted album.
I was actually thinking of Blood Mountain.
Oh,
that one's sort of.
Yeah, no, that one's really off the wall, like really. But it's so off the wall, it doesn't feel as fun as like.
I mean, they got R2D2 doing vocals in one of the songs. I was like,
yeah, that would be what is
Sword?
Ooh, is that the Circle of Sasquatch? No, Sasquatch.
Blade Catcher.
Blade Catcher. Yeah, I see. It's funny. I said that was the Tasmanian Devil in my notes.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So I guess we can kind of dive into actual history of how they formed. So these dudes were definitely into music from the very beginning, like all through high school, and there really are two separate parties before the formation. So we have Bran and Bill and Troy and Brent in one. So Brandon and Bill were up in Buffalo, New York, I believe, and they were in a bunch of different bands. The main one was they were in a technical death metal band actually called Lethargy. Yeah, so they ended up releasing a couple demos and stuff, and then a full length with Lethargy, where I believe Bill played bass and Bran was on drums. And then they joined an actually established band called Today Is the Day. So this is not the album that they were on, but once again they were the rhythm section. They played on In the Eyes of God. So wait, no, is that it?
What sort of sound is that?
It's a very interesting sound. It's like a mixture of hardcore, grind, and like kind of rock and roll. It's a little all over the place, but definitely intense. So yeah, they played on the album In the Eyes of God in 1999, and so this is the self-titled Today Is the Day. So I don't have that one specifically, but then after that they ended up both moving down to Atlanta. Don't know why specifically they went there, but as one does, finding a new area, they went to a killer metal show, High on Fire specifically, and they met Troy and Brent there, who were a part of a local band called it's an interesting name. Let me see. 4 Hour Fogger was the local band. Don't know anything about what they sounded like or if they were good or not, but yeah, that was Troy and Brent's original band. And High on Fire brought them together. High on Fire brings a lot of people together, in my opinion. Great band. But so from there they started jamming, started writing music. They actually had a different vocalist originally his name was Eric Sainer. and he recorded a demo with them, which was 9 songs. And he didn't last too long. He ended up leaving right after that demo. I think I guess it just said for personal reasons. And then after that, Troy and Brent initially picked up the vocal duties. So for their first couple EPs and stuff, and also albums, they were handling vocals together. And that kind of takes us to this one,
Call of the Mastodon.
Call of the Mastodon. So this is a compilation that was released in 2006 on Relapse Records, and it's a combo of their first 2 EPs kind of reformatted to recreate that first demo that they released. Like, it's the track listing is the same as the demo, not the same as the EPs, but it matches the demo. But it's been re-recorded, so it's all Brent and Troy on vocals. And yeah, I did pick this up for the stream. Like, I didn't have this and hadn't listened to it, but man, I jammed it, and it's awesome. And look, it's a special Relapse colored vinyl. That is pretty
cool.
Yeah, this is called Butterfly Sunburst. Exactly what you want for a brutal metal album.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really ended up enjoying this. I mean, this right here is only 28 minutes long, so it's real quick and easy to get through. And it definitely reads off like a more simplistic version of Remission.
I listened to it just before the stream. Yeah.
Ah, cool. Yeah. 28-minute runtime, right? You can just squeeze it in whenever.
Yes.
Fairly easy. So it definitely has a lot of characteristics that would be carried on to Remission. I think it almost has more of a like a mathcore, like Boston, like
math
hardcore. Yeah, like it's the riffs are very off the wall and kind of out there. Like, it doesn't. Some of the riffs don't sound as sludgy, as what they become, and they don't sound as progressive either. So I definitely enjoyed Shadows That Move on here, and
yeah,
yeah,
I have it up here. I like the Shadows That Move and Deep Sea Creature. I like Deep Sea Creature a lot.
I think I did highlight that one, and then also Battle at Sea was cool. That's the longest song on here at like 4 minutes. I mean, most, and that's the other thing. Like, all these tracks are about 2 minutes long.
I feel like Deep Sea Creature is a little longer, but I don't know.
I mean, it might be about 3.5 minutes. This is quick. Like, this is the shortest Mastodon listen, and so if you're ever on a time crunch, just jam this. And as I said, it's a comp between Life's Blood, which was released in 2001, and Slick Leg, which was released also in 2001. So yeah, so those 2 EPs combined, and then with the track listing of the original demo, which came out in 2000. So yeah, I think probably a must own for anyone who's like a more completist or more of just an overall Mastodon fan from the beginning to the end. But if you like Remission at all, I would definitely listen to this. Did you have anything else to add about Call of the Mastodon, or
no?
Initial introduction.
It's very similar to Remission. It's missing a few things, but it's
I think it's missing some ambition in the songwriting.
Yes, it's missing ambition. It's missing
super simplistic, really.
Yeah, some of the more complicated rhythms and melodies that they have in Remission.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Battle at Sea. I think that was the end of, or the final song on Life's
right
Butter,
here.
about just over 4 minutes. And then
Deep Sea Creature is 4 minutes and like 30 seconds, I thought, and Bad
Oh, that's an epic.
4 minutes. Yeah. Those are small, but especially by power metal standards.
I think you could argue that there's a little bit, hardcore punk influence here, kind of just in like the approach and the energy, and just shorter songs. Like if you're listening to metal, you feel like you're more attached to
some of the motifs
longer
they have going, the
songwriting.
riffs they get in there.
Yeah, but this feels like a quick, short burst of energy, more
Yes.
similar, akin to punk music.
It's sort of like espresso.
Yes.
Just
you got to get to work in like 20 minutes. You need a quick shot of
definitely on the
Call
drive.
of the Mastodon.
You're stuck in traffic.
Oh man,
just rage out to that.
Yeah, this one and Remission are both road rage albums for sure. So yeah, that takes us to 2002 with the release of Remission, and this is on Relapse. Are you okay going first, or do you want me to go first? You care?
I can go first.
Okay, I'm just going to show off the album real quick, and then I'm gonna add. Mark's gonna share his screen. He's got some notes over there.
Yes, and it's wrong album.
Oh, hey, that was a preview.
Remission. Is it not listed on the title of the album's not on the album cover?
It is on this one. I guess right here. One sec.
Yeah, I don't have any of the physical albums.
Right there. Yeah, I mean, you didn't need them growing up, right? Because I had them the whole time, and
I just have them on my
And you're definitely
MP4s
more
or whatever, MP3s.
Yeah, you're pretty comfortable or okay with just digital media, right? Like you'd buy physical for the more special albums or for the experience every now and then, I feel like. But it's not a band, you don't feel separated from the music if you only have it on digital. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it is there.
So I just have some blurbs and highlights, I guess. Just wrote what I was thinking when I was listening to the song.
Which, real quick, was this one that you were aware of before?
No. Before this past week, I had never listened to anything outside of Leviathan, The Hunter, Once More Around the Sun, and Emperor of Sand.
Yes.
So
wow, that's super cool. So I'm curious about initial impressions, if you will, for some of these albums.
Well, it opens up with Crusher Destroyer, which I really like. I thought it was a little short, but I quite enjoyed. I don't remember how long it is.
Man,
but I wrote down that
2.5 minutes.
Short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. The solo guitar was great, and I like this is a well-made album. It sets the tone that you expect for the rest of the album.
Yeah,
they play around with it, and I like that. March of the Fire Ants, I enjoyed that one. I sort of wish I got to listen to this a second time before I did this stream. But basically, the only albums I've listened to more than once are the ones I've told, the ones I listened to before this past week. So I have March of the Fire Ants at a 9. It really sounded like they just did a real good job of matching that sort of frantic energy you imagine when watching Animal Planet or something, and you see the carton of the carpet of fire ants.
You're just imagining them marching through the rainforest,
Yes.
demolishing all small animals and leaves in their path, and it's
This,
just like it's a cool image to think about when listening to the song, I'm sure.
I think this album, especially in contrast to the Call of the Mastodon, those EPs, it's, at least when I listened to it, I could sort of visualize the songs had a very visual feel to them. I don't know how that makes sense, but
No, I can
it's
see
not
it.
like Synthesia, but they paint a picture with the song.
What were we visualizing? Like the fire ants marching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the fire ants marching. They have some differing riff elements when it goes through the sort of stages. And another, Where Strides the Behemoth is also one of those where it's I thought this, it's sort of like Flight of the Bumblebee, but more metal and heavy. But it sounds like what you expect it to sound like if you're trying to put that to music.
Yes, you're thinking of that picture of a
Mm-hmm.
behemoth like walking
Mm-hmm.
across a plain or something.
And this one was actually more fast and frantic than the March of the Fire Ants was, which was, it was just more rapid changing of the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
There were some parts I didn't like too much, like I say right here, where he goes, "Yay, yay," a few times.
Yeah,
I didn't really like that.
you didn't like that?
No.
It's an interesting choice for like carrying us, because it's almost like they're falling back on this like tribal chant,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if I feel one way or the other about it. Like it's not a personal highlight, but it's kind of cool when it comes on.
Yeah, I think I would have liked it better if it was not in the song.
If it just kept going.
You just cut out that little
10-second
bit or however long it was. Workhorse is a good one. It's a good steady one. And I like this sort of, because they sort of alternate songs well. When you're listening to a full album all the way through, you don't want to front load it and you don't want to back load it, in sort of album makeup.
Yeah, that flow is important
in terms of song order. Workhorse is great. And then I really like Old Nessie, how it switches it up from the previous ones. And it sort of has that low, noisy. Was that just like a bass with a reverb on it?
I believe it was a guitar. I don't think
guitar.
It was. Yeah. I believe it was just the one guitar. You mean like at the opening to Old Nessie?
Well, it had that high note, and then there was a low rumbling, if I remember correctly. Which I can't play it for reference. But
they definitely hit us with the copyright if we played any Mastodon over the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, Old Nessie's a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of starts a new section of the album too.
Yes, I believe it goes to like the halfway point. Or maybe the next song is the halfway point. Burning Man. Let's see. It's good. It's a good like a spacer song, but I don't like it on its, like, it's good, but it's not above good. If that makes sense. It's a 7. That's what I put it as. And most of Mastodon songs are just good, period. But, you're always hunting for those better than good songs.
Yes. That's why they stick out, because of those songs, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Trainwreck's a good one. I like how this one also paints the picture, right? It starts in with that sort of train station noise. It goes in with some more, it has like some mechanical type noises in it, like some high alarming sort of increases in volume.
Yeah. So you're just
Interspersed, like,
picturing the
really,
train, right?
yeah, it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yep.
It's good. It's good. Trampled underhoof. It's, yeah, I write it down. It's what I want where that it makes me.
Yeah.
That sounds like a behemoth trampling something,
It's
or
like a
a
better
really big horse.
version of Where the Strides the Behemoth. Yeah.
Trilobite. I'm always a fan of fossils, so I like this one. And this was a lot of these songs, because I had always known that there was a sort of theme behind the albums around Leviathan, and that Leviathan was the water theme. So
Yeah.
I'd always assumed that this was the earth theme one, just from the album artwork.
Yep. And we talked about this. I was the same for the longest time.
Yeah,
It just looks like the Earth theme.
I thought it was the decomposing like corpse of a horse on the ground.
Yeah. Like I feel like this would end up being a fossil in, a millennia or two. But lo and behold, it's not the Earth theme.
I guess, I mean, you have fire ants, burning
fire.
Man.
Yeah.
You sort of got that. And there's a lot of anger in this album, which fire is related to anger a lot. This might be their angriest.
I think it's their angriest. Yeah.
Which brings us to our next title, Mother Puncher, which is a bit of an angry song.
Yes. Do you like Mother Puncher?
I did. I have it as a 9 here.
It talks about unconditional love. So it's like almost from like the. I feel like it is from the viewpoint of a mother about some child they're maybe abusing. I don't know. It's.
I couldn't figure out who was punching.
Yeah,
but
who knows? Yeah, maybe it results in the punching.
Yeah, I like the song. I felt the punching, but I didn't. This one was. I didn't bother like thinking about the picture as much for some reason that it painted.
Yeah.
And then you have Elephant Man. It's a good track.
Instrumental.
It's instrumental, so I like lyrics, even if it's just yelling. But I like the vocal, just the resonance you get from vocals. It helps break up instruments for me. So to some extent, I just mark instrumentals a little lower.
Yeah, really. See that? I guess I get it. And honestly, Elephant Man would not be like the ideal instrumental. I mean, I'll get to it in a second when I talk about this. But so, what would you? What's your ranking? So there's 8. There's 8 albums total. So where does it fall in?
It's the 5th. It's number 5.
Wow. Okay.
5 from the top. So it's 4th from the bottom, I guess.
So
no, it was. Yeah.
So it's number 5. Yeah. Kellen over here, I guess found this album age 18, 19. So it would be cool to be able to have started at the very beginning and kind of grown. Or you have to, Kellen, did you fall off with Mastodon at a certain point? I'm gonna guess that you did. Yeah. But so
what did he say right there? It's moved on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'll leave it up there. So yeah, man, Remission is.
Well, Old Nessie's on the front. Well, I don't know.
To me, that's the transition to the second half of the album.
Because if I look at this, timestamp, it's firmly before the halfway point of the album. The middle point is the end of Burning Man. That's the exact half. That's like 22 minutes through is the start of Trainwreck.
See, it's funny. because when you're listening to it and you're not like actually you're just listening to it as a whole album, I think your mind separates it out differently. So I have it separated that the first half is kind of up through Workhorse, and then or like that's the first part, and then the second part kind of all blends together a little bit. So
there's only 2 parts
for me, as far as how the album flows. They've kind of packaged it as
because
a two-piece.
The end of Workhorse is 12 minutes into the album. Like,
I know. That's why it's hard for it not to feel a little mismatched or mispaced. So I agree a lot with Kellen right here with this comment where it kind of the flow is off. And so when you get towards the end of it, you're hammered with all these longer songs, and it kind of blends together a little bit because of that. And I mean, I much prefer the beginning first 4 songs to the last 7, I guess. For that reason. So, but for me, it's. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say something?
Well, yeah. For me, the first 12 minutes was a fever dream of just intense noise, and then you get to Old Nessie, and then it alternates between a long song, a short song, a long song, a short song for the rest of the album.
Did you more prefer the second half because of that? Like you're like I just gotta get through this crazy first 4 songs, and then I can finally relax a little bit with the longer tracks on here.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. For me, the first 4 are so quick to the throat. They capture my attention immediately, and then after that, I'm like left scratching my head a little bit when it comes to like Old Nessie and Trilobite, Trainwreck. So a side note, I find Mastodon to be the king of transition albums. Like, Mark, I know we've had this conversation about transition albums in the past. I'll go into that. But I think that most of their albums end up being transitions. And for me, this one right here, it's how the song, it's the back and forth between different types of songs that really marks it as a transition album. Like, it's got the opening, which is very much reminiscent of Call of the Mastodon. And then it starts to like jump to like entirely new territory that you don't realize they were trying to jump to until later albums. And it kind of makes it tough to balance in a way. Like, the first 4 songs I think are, as I said, my favorite part of the album, with Workhorse being my favorite song on the album. It's the most straightforward song, but maybe because of that, it's my favorite. I love the riffs, and I really like the vocal performance too, and just how driving it is. And I think it really captures the first 3 tracks pretty well. And Crusher Destroyer opening with the T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park. I gotta mention that.
Yes,
is fucking awesome. And then, as I said,
so there's your dinosaur.
You hit the brakes. Yeah, Jeff, there's your dinosaur. Then you hit the brakes when it comes into Old Nessie, and then you go back and forth between the fast, crazy song like Burning Man, and then the slower song Trainwreck, and then the crazy song Trampled Underhoof. And it kind of blends in. Like, as I'm listening to the album, sometimes I'm like, oh man, I like Trilobite more than I did the last time. And I look and, oh wait, no, it's actually Trainwreck that I'm on or something.
They don't sound that similar. Well,
or maybe it's like, I get Trainwreck confused with Old Nessie. Sometimes it just happens. And then Mother Puncher is a great song. Like that one kind of stands out to me a bit more. And then Elephant Man, it wraps it up well. It wraps it up nicely in the scope of the album. Like it fits the release overall.
Yeah.
I definitely like the flow, but I wish they had balanced it out a little bit more with the back and forth versus having all the longer songs at the end, kind of like what Kellen said here. So
they have all the longer songs in the last 30 minutes of the album.
yeah, so that means that's the whole album, right? That's the heart of the album is the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, this I give this one, it's an 8.4 out of 10. And I rank it 6 out of 8. So
okay,
and that's the thing once again about Mastodon. They're incredibly consistent, you know.
Did I say the number when I gave mine?
Okay, Mark, we have to make sure that this is only a 3-hour stream because Jeff is the only one allowed to go more than 3 hours when it comes to streaming.
Well, he says 6 hours.
Well, but I feel like that's being lenient with me. I don't know. Let me know, Jeff.
Did I give the number? This one's 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Okay.
And I think I'll probably rank the albums lower than you, just in general.
Yeah. Okay. So that from there we go. We're still on Relapse, and we go to 2004 with the release of Leviathan. So yeah, for a lot of people, man, this is the Mastodon album, and you got to comment on the artwork.
I love that.
It's still my favorite Mastodon artwork.
It is mine as well.
And then it makes it even better when you open it up. Man, you got the full panel, dude. That
is great.
Some of the best.
What's that? Is that the Tower of Pisa up there?
Certainly looks like it. I'm not going to comment specifically because I do not know, but yeah, this album cover is awesome, and yeah, for a lot of people, this is the Mastodon, you know, album.
It is a really good one,
and it's a loose conceptual album about Moby Dick, and this is of course the element water. So I'll be right back, Mark. I'm gonna let you go through this.
Good.
I'll be back shortly.
What if you want me to just continue on?
Yeah, man, continue on.
All right.
You know, the issue with being the drunken musers, you gotta pay the toll sometimes. So I'll be quick.
All right. Well, this is a good song, good album. It's I've been listening to it a lot more recently, and I've probably, in terms of the 4 albums I've listened to before I started listening to their whole discography for this stream, I think it is my favorite. We have we open with Blood and Thunder, which is really just a great intro to the whole album. And it also visually paints the picture that you have of just whaling on a ship in the stormy ocean, 30-foot tall waves, and you just see this massive whale, and it's really well made. It's really well structured in the flow of the song and how it fits into the flow of the album itself. It's sort of like an intense bit of action to get you invested in the story, and then you listen to the next song, which is I Am Ahab, which sort of tells it begins telling the backstory about all this sort of aqua themed content. And I think this might be the best structured Mastodon album in terms of the flow of the album itself. And in my list, it sort of alternates in quality, which I think in some ways is good, just because it gives you time between just the good songs to sort of recover, and then the next heavy hitter comes out. Are you back?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
Where are you at?
I'm just talking about the album. I didn't want to go through all the songs without you.
Oh no, go for it.
Well, Blood and Thunder I already mentioned. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Really great starting song. I May Have sort of comes back down to the sort of what I would call a standard, like the minimum Mastodon song for the most part is a 7 out of 10 in my opinion. Most of them seem to be around that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is sort of just your, I don't want to say standard because this is just the second album, but it's good. It has the good riffs that you expect from Mastodon. It has and that's mostly what I remember from it. And I enjoy listening to it, but I can't rant and rave about it forever. And so I'm going to talk about Sea Beast, which I really like. It's, it's an 8 out of 10. So maybe I need to check my adjectives, but it's just a good one to headbang to. It's a good, put it on and I'll rock away.
Well, especially that second half of the song where that riff comes back in.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost reminiscent of Remission in a little bit in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I think the next one's more reminiscent of
oh well, yeah. Island, yeah.
Iceland, I guess, is what they pronounce it like in the song, actually. But
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they say Iceland. I'd have to double check, but that's just because I always double check everything. It's a good song. Again, it does harken back more to. It reminds me of Trample Underhoof. I wrote that down. I don't rant and rave about it. Again, it doesn't like instantly capture me, but I'll rock out to it. This one was on Monsters Inc. University, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Like a little cameo.
Yeah, it was almost like barely 2 seconds, probably, but
it's the best. Yeah, it's
the mom monster went into the car and was going to listen to her tunes and just Mastodon.
Mm-hmm.
It fit.
Yes. Iron Tusk is next, which I could definitely Man, I cannot recall this song right now, but I wrote down it was recognizable, so I know the moment you play the first bit, I would recognize it.
For me, it's a little bit of a retread of March of the Fire Ants, actually. Like if you remember, because it follows a similar flow with you introduce the riff, and then everything comes in like a frenzied attack, and then it kind of progresses similarly with like a similar middle section as well.
Mm-hmm. That's probably why I like it.
It's good. I mean, it's great. Like I'm here for that kind of song all day.
I put it as the same rank as March of the Fire Ants as a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Megalodon, which is a sort of an interesting song.
Yeah.
It has an interesting bridge in the middle. This I don't quite remember the first vocal, so why I wrote I'm not the biggest fan of them. But I'm sure if I listened to them again, I would remember. It sounds bluesy. Is that just me in the middle of it?
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely not
Yeah.
just you. They actually have a blues guitar break that
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
before, and this is one of the coolest parts in the album, there's a sharp tempo change. So there's the
Hmm.
clean blues guitar, and then it just changes into this thrashy um riff, you know,
Hmm.
and it just picks up and takes off. And it's one of those live staples that they have, which
Yes, we saw it live.
yes, and
It was one of
they,
them.
they definitely play it for like the old school fans, and
Hmm.
it works every time.
It does. And this one I put as a 7, not for the other, for like I Am Ahab an Island. That's because that's just what I thought the song was
Yeah.
worth. This one I put as a 7 because I didn't. There were parts I really liked, and then there were parts I just couldn't get into.
Now I'm curious about this naked burn as a 10.
I really love it, actually.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
My favorite song off this album.
the clean singing, right? Isn't that when
It
they
does
introduced
have
the
it,
clean singing? Yeah.
and I think it. Yeah, this might be the biggest glimpse into. Yeah, I think this really sort of they build off this song specifically, sort of in that style at least. That's what it sounds like to me.
Hmm.
I don't write more about it, like in terms of the specifics.
Is that why you liked it though? Because of the focus on the clean singing, and
That may be
it
part of it.
it's kind of a depressing song too, really. Like, I don't know
Hmm.
what it's about in the context of the concept, but it sounds dark.
Yes, I don't know. It's one of those that I can always like. I can always sing along to it, but I can never remember the lyrics when I'm not listening to it.
I think a lot of this era of Mastodon is like that,
Hmm.
just because of how fast and cutthroat the music is, and the fact that most of the vocals are still kind of
Yeah, yeah.
screamed or yelled. Like, it's kind of hard to recall certain aspects of
Hmm.
the music.
Save yourself. Don't. Okay.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
part, yeah, that part's cool.
Hmm. It's when I was listening to the album all the way through, I thought it was my favorite,
That's neat.
and I know I listen to it a lot just in general in my playlists. Aqua Dementia, I really like as well.
Did you notice the different vocalists?
I didn't in these earlier albums. I can't quite tell the difference between them. Is this Kelly?
Scott Kelly, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the introduction of using
Hmm.
guest vocalist Scott Kelly, who he's a reoccurring appearance.
Yes,
One
he
of the
is
main front guys, or he
from
was
Neurosis, right?
past tense from Neurosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So long-term collaborator and usually used on fairly heavy songs, or songs that they want to like really
Hmm.
have a bigger impact. Aqua Dementia is definitely good.
Yes, I like it. Hearts Alive afterwards. It's also a really good one. I also really like how it blends together with the previous song.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the best album they've made in terms of flow, in terms of just the structure of the album.
The best overall as far as structure.
Yes, in my opinion,
Wow.
for
Yeah.
their albums. One of the best. It may be tied with another album, but this one's really good structure-wise. It ends off with Joseph Merrick, which it's a good song, but it's also, I think it's a good bring you down from that. It's a good ending song, but it's, I'm never going to be like, if it comes in on a playlist, I'm never going to say turn it up or something like that. Or, I'm never going to intentionally search out Joseph Merrick to listen to.
Funny, I used to play it for mom all the time.
I could understand that.
That would be the one song I could get away with from Mastodon. I could play for Mom, and she wouldn't be like, "Logan, what are you doing?" You know. So
yeah, I think it's a good it just helps you digest the album. It helps close off the album, make it a full finished piece, in my opinion.
you got some love for the spreadsheet, by the way.
Yeah.
See, Mark, he approaches the album very methodically, I would say, and I respect that. I used to try to break it down song by song, but I'm more grown to just want to just get in there and not think about that. But it definitely helps when you're actually thinking about the album over like specific pieces of it, you know, because sometimes when you're just listening to it and not thinking about song to song, you might miss a lot of it. So I did one of these. I will not be showing it off, but it definitely helped me create some of my thoughts that I'll be talking about.
Yeah, all this stuff is just stuff I write down as I listen to the song, and I don't like revisit it or anything. So this is just my first thoughts while I'm listening.
Yeah.
And then I put the number.
But cheers to Tony over here, man. Respect to Mark. So what's your ranking and rating?
This is number 2.
Wow, we jump up
number
to
2 out of 8. Yeah.
Okay. And like the ranking overall?
Yes. Let me
or the rating, sorry, the number.
Rating is 8.7.
Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right. So I will I'll kind of throw my thoughts in there real quick. So yeah, I mean, this was a huge album for me, like as a figuring out extreme metal. And I would say that Mastodon's first two, Remission and this album, are the only two that I would consider extreme metal. Sorry, I have to show off the it's like a split splatter.
I don't think I like that.
Oh, you don't like it? Is it too much?
I think I'd prefer just blue and white.
Oh, really? Man, I think it's a cool addition. I have a couple. This actually is my second favorite Mastodon color vinyl variant. I'll show off tonight. We'll definitely get to the other one, but so yeah, I think Mastodon has two extreme metal albums. This is the end of their extreme metal era, if you will. I still consider it a transitional album. Like it's still, to me, comes off as an in-between. Like you're still picking up on certain pieces of Remission and Call of the Mastodon with tracks like I Am Ahab and Island mainly.
Yes.
But then, as I was saying, Sea Beast to me feels like a more focused version of like some of the songwriting that's on Remission. I do have to say, Blood and Thunder, that is my number one metal song of the decade from 2000 to 2009. That's it. And I'm talking about objectively. I could subjectively come up with other ones that I prefer to it, but if I were to send anyone like one song and be like, this is metal from this decade, it'd be Blood and Thunder.
Right.
I think it helped to, as I kind of already said, redefine extreme metal in 2004 and kind of reclaim it from like the metalcore and new metal bands. And the riff is immediately recognizable, probably one of the best riffs, and how they change it up throughout the song.
Yes.
It's iconic. The drumming, Brand Daller is one of the best drummers of this era for sure, and his use of like snare rolls especially really push. They push Remission a lot forward, and they definitely help out on this album a lot, and definitely on Blood and Thunder. You got to mention another collaborator, Neil Fallon from Clutch.
Yes, and I can't hear him on it, but
he doesn't sound like himself, you know.
Yeah, like I'm even trying to place it with like Transnational Speedway or whatever.
He definitely sounds closer to that than anything else. But man, here is his bit.
Is it crack your backs and pull the oars, man? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If you wish to prevail, this ivory leg is what propels me. Harpoons thrust in the sky. Aim directly for his crooked brow and look him straight in the eye. And I mean, come on, that's like one of the best sections of you know, and that song. And then also the chorus is just iconic. White whale, holy grail. I mean,
white whale,
holy grail.
Yeah,
it's just one. It's their best song, period, to me. Like out of everything they've released, I mean, they come close, but how iconic and important Blood and Thunder is, and just epic. It's phenomenal. So for me, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 song. I think there's 2 10 out of 10 songs on this album. Naked Burn for me is not one of them. So I will say that song is indeed like a transitional sign of where they're going to go. So it's good. It's good, but I think it feels unfinished, especially if you're like already used to what they're doing on like Crack the Sky or something. I definitely want to highlight
what?
Hearts Alive. That's my other 10 out of 10. Just it's epic and progressive, and kind of another nod about the direction that they're heading in. You know, it's they're veering towards that longer, more dynamic songwriting.
And I think Hearts Alive to me is more of a precursor to their next 2 albums, where Naked Burn is more of like a far forward preview of like the Hunter and the more of their 2010.
Because I never thought of it like that. Like I was thinking like, oh yeah, this sounds like, you know, what they wanted Divinations or Oblivion to be, you know, or even something from Blood Mountain. But I'll have to listen to that again and think about it.
Yes. And that may just be because there was a long time where I literally only listened to this album from their first 4 and then also the last 3.
But I mean, this is the album to listen to of the first. Oh,
yeah,
of the first 4. I mean, for me, this is a 8.8.
Yeah,
out of 10, and I have this coming in at number 3. Like,
okay,
yeah. So we're a little close, like kind of
8.7 for a number 2.
Yeah. So I think you're right that you enjoy, but you rank it a little lower. I'm curious about what your number 1 is and the rating for that. But of course, before we dive into the next one, as soon as I mention this, there's someone in the VC who hates on colored vinyl. And there he is. Chris, you're right.
Black has its own, it's classic and it'll never go out of style, but it's not the most stylish always.
No, so to me, if the look of the vinyl matches what the album cover and kind of the whole just concept behind it is doing, then it's good. Then I'm good with colored vinyl. And And I think this does. I mean, this definitely looks like
You're sort of right. It's got that
a record for a album lost at sea.
It's got the blue, and it's got the white, and it's got the blood splatter of them harpooning the whale in the eye. And it's even emerging from the eye of the vinyl, too.
James is on to me. That's why I like colored vinyl. Most of my opinions. And let's see. So we also got James in here along with Chris, and Ryan just joined. What's up? All right. So from Leviathan, Mastodon jumped off of Relapse as their primary label, and they actually, I guess, kind of jumped to the big leagues. We got Blood Mountain, which was released on Reprise. I believe Relapse kind of helped, but this is their big label debut, and this is an interesting album for them.
Yes,
because it's following what was initially, because Leviathan was immediately taken as a fan favorite and a staple for extreme metal from what I understand, and it propelled them forward to the big league. So they're following up the fan favorite, and also this is their major label debut. So a lot is riding on this album. So Mark, I am curious about what you think. Let's go over to your very well organized spreadsheet and see what it says.
Yeah, here we go. So I right there up in bold words, I need to listen to it more. This is one where there's a lot of like glimmerings where I think I might like the song, but I just didn't have time to process it fully.
Yeah, because this is your first time hearing this one, right?
Yes. Some of the songs they played live, but
yeah. Didn't they play
Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull. That's a good pick.
Yeah, The Wolf is Loose. I really like that song just as an opening. Just the intro to the album. That's a good intro. It reminds me of the previous two album intros. Well, maybe not Blood and Thunder as much as the just Remission's intro, but
yeah, The Wolf is Loose is a good just brand Dowler with that drum fill.
Yes,
right out the gate.
And I just like how loud it is as the start, and then we get into Crystal Skull, which has more depth. And I guess I listened to I had to listen to the song twice, and then I realized I didn't have enough time to listen to the whole album twice. But I like this song. This is a 9. It's one of the 2 9s I have on this album. And I would need more time to really expound upon it if I don't. It's too complicated to really talk about specifically, in my opinion.
Crystal Skull?
I don't know. It's not terribly complicated. Well, I don't want to say too much. Basically, because I don't feel like I understand it. You know what I mean?
And there's a lot of songs on this album like that.
Yes, I agree. And then we have Sleeping Giant. I say right here, I love the first 4 minutes. Just everything all together. And then they start, the last minute, I believe, they have that spoken outro. And I was not into that at all.
Oh, you kind of zoned out a little bit?
Yeah, I would have probably put this as a 9 or a higher. Probably just a 9 if it didn't have that. But I just didn't mesh with me. Capillarian Crest. It's good. It's not.
To me, it's like a left version of Crystal Skull.
Yes, that's a good way
to put it. It occupies the same space songwriting wise, but you've already heard Crystal Skull, so you're like, I don't need this,
And that happens a lot with them, actually.
Mhm.
Mastodon, just in general, where they've already made a song which typifies this sound they're doing with this current song better, Circle of the Sasquatch? Squats? I don't know. Is it a Cyclops Sasquatch? That's my guess. Cyclops Sasquatch.
That's the best guess I have so far.
Yeah. It's a good song. 8 out of 10 for me. They're playing with vocoder, and they
Mhm.
play with a lot more production techniques, especially this album, and then they continue doing it in a more controlled way in their future albums. So this one seems more like they're experimental in this one, I think.
Yeah, this might be their most experimental one,
Yes,
like, period, I think.
I agree.
Like, overall.
Hmm. And you keep talking about them being transitional albums, and they sort of just are always developing more of their sound every
Mhm.
album. So,
That's probably their secret, right?
mhm.
Continually growing.
And other bands do that, but Mastodon does it in a more controlled manner than some bands. Like
Yes, there's really only one sharp shift, or maybe 2, but one
mhm.
definite, like,
I think that's with the
sharp change.
first four to the second four, in my opinion, is the
Yes,
sharpest change.
absolutely.
We have Blade Catcher, which is
Holy shit. What the hell?
it's fairly simple, but then you have I don't know.
That middle section where you said it was,
I said it was R2D2 with just singing metal.
like
It's like you put
R2D2 when he gets zapped or something, right?
yeah.
And he goes like,
It's
"Wah!" and starts going crazy.
it's like
For me, I hear the Tasmanian Devil, but I could
mhm,
throw in like a Dalek or something in there
mhm.
as well.
Yeah, I was thinking they have these AI things where they can map like any speech you want to the voice of the
Mhm.
character. So it would be like that with R2D2 for these lyrics. It's what I thought. It's
Yeah,
very interesting. I
it's
don't know how they
it's
made it,
bizarre. Yeah.
but it's a short song, so it's not annoying. It's good,
Hmm.
you know. Colony of the Birchmen. It's a good unsettling song. It made me
Yeah.
uncomfortable in a good
It's
way.
weird. It's a weird one because it's more straightforward and approaching being commercial, but then at the same time, yeah, the tone is dark.
Hmm.
Did you notice the guest vocals?
No, and I don't really notice guest vocals on these albums much, just in Mastodon in general until the later
They
ones.
they blend in for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
But I do look them up, and I do, see when they're there. I have the wiki. I just look at the.
so this is
Uh,
this is Josh Homme from
mhm.
Caius and Queens of the Stone Age. I believe he's on the chorus of this song,
Okay.
and that really makes a difference to me and helps the song stand out.
Hmm. I didn't really notice that, but it's a good song.
Hmm.
This song's very consistent. There's only a few songs that, in my opinion, stand, above the rest.
Yeah.
Crystal Skull's one of them. Uh, Hunters in the Sky is the next song on the album. It sort of continues the sort of consistency this album has. It's just like solid eights, basically. And it's a good song. I like the chorus. I like just how it flows, but I don't have much to say about it other than that.
It occupies a very similar space to The Wolf is Loose to me, where it kind of it
Hmm.
it sets off the final half of the album. Where The Wolf is Loose is like, this is the opening. Here's, this is the frenzied opening for the first half, and then Hunter to the Sky is, here's the frenzied opening for the second half. And then
I didn't notice as much of a structure on this album as I did on the previous two. Like the previous two felt much more structured than this one did, in my opinion. This one's sort of just...
Yes, this is not a cohesive album, in my opinion. Like, it feels very disjointed and all over the place. Like, they were just grabbing at everything. I mean, that's why we were said as the most experimental.
Yes. And that, for me, affects the rating of it. And, we have Hand of Stone. I like the ending. And that's not to say I liked when it was over. I just like how they made the outro. Yeah, I write it right here. This feels... Hand of Stone definitely feels like they were playing around. It's not as... It doesn't feel like it's structured or intentioned. It feels like they were playing around, got some stuff they liked, and decided to make it a song. Which is not bad. You can make some really good songs that way. This is a good song. But it falls short of their engineered masterpieces. And This Mortal Soil. I think it would be, if I listen to it more, I might like it more. See right here, there's some tempo changes that I can't get my head around. But this is, it's still an 8, even with those things I slightly dislike. So it's probably higher than an 8 when I really register what it means to me.
Yeah. This is definitely an album that takes multiple listens.
Yeah, I can believe that. Siberian Divide, I really like it. It's another 9 on this album. I liked it so much I put down a timestamp, apparently, because I thought it was so good.
Oh.
And it's a seesaw almost, just because of how it seesaws back and forth. And they do that a lot in their future, maybe even earlier, and I just only noticed it on this album. But a very good ending too, which Mastodon typically has good endings on their songs. I'm noticing. And we get Pendulous Skin, which to me is a 10 out of 10. I like it. It's very jazzy is what I wrote here, and I like it a lot. I also think this is a very experimental song. Very sort of... I think it flows like it is... I think it's an example of the next album, somewhat.
Those last 3 songs all kind of serve that purpose to me.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
so where does that leave this one?
That leaves us for this one. It's an 8.1, and I put it as number 3.
Wow. So number 2, Leviathan. Number 3,
yes,
Blood Mountain. I am impressed, Mark. Yeah, I have a little different take on this one for sure. So, I mean, I think we kind of touched a little bit on, what went into making this album, with it being the major label debut, and they're following up Leviathan, their biggest album to date, essentially. I think they were kind of just throwing everything out there a little bit, and as I said, it makes it less cohesive. It's their most transitional, where they're kind of just seeing what sticks. It's also, as I said, it's not an extreme metal album anymore. I think we're now just more of like more of a like a stoner metal, a progressive metal. I think you can definitely add the progressive tag to this because of all of the different influences and stuff that are being used. I think because of how it's balanced, there are a couple mishaps that kind of happen, and it's kind of an overly long album as well. I agree with you about Crystal Skull. That might be my favorite on the album. Sleeping Giant, actually, I think is my favorite. I agree with you about the very end of it, where it's like, I don't know if we needed the spoken word bit, but yeah, I think that is my favorite, and that they really play with some psychedelic elements that are pretty neat. And the opening part of the song is just super cool. I think where we differ is with the ending of the album. So for me, it kind of overstays its welcome a little bit, and the last four songs kind of really all blend in together. The last three specifically, they all sound they're kind of doing the same thing. They all have that seesaw effect of like they're more progressive, they're more like playing with that chill, laid back vibe while still balancing a little bit of the more heavy metal sound. And I'm like, am I listening to Siberian Divide or Pendulous Skin? I can't really tell towards the end of it, and it definitely takes me out, kind of. I definitely think for me, This Mortal Soil is the strongest of the three. Maybe because it opens it, and you're like, you kind of need that reprieve after Hunters of the Sky into Hand of Stone. But then it's Siberian Divide and Pendulous Skin tread the same ground. I do agree with you, though, that no song on here is below a 7. I don't think Mastodon has a song below a 7. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're just a remarkably consistent band. But to me, out of the first three, this is the most transitional album, and there's just some weird choices that kind of they don't make sense. And I'd be really interested in knowing like a perspective of a Mastodon fan who was finding this right when it came out. Like they didn't know where they were going. They just picked this up after Leviathan. Like I'd be curious about what they thought. Like some of these decisions I think make sense a lot more when you're coming at it from the perspective of Crack the Sky, which we can now jump into.
Yeah.
So 2009. Now this is probably their second biggest album, easily. At least maybe now it's hard for me to not sound biased in a way. I'm not trying to give anything away, but like this is a huge album for them. This is the fourth of their trilogy, which I don't think I mentioned. No, quadrology or whatever. Four albums. This is the Earth album.
And we call it the Element Cycle or something like that.
And it's funny, Mark. I thought that this was Air, right?
I thought that's Air too.
To me, it's still Air. According to the band, it's Ether or Aether.
Well, Ether doesn't exist.
Well, for their argument, it does, and this representation is the spirit, if you will, and it is also a conceptual album.
Yeah.
Very cool concepts. Super science fiction. Supposedly, it's about a quadriplegic who learns how to astral project because what else are you gonna do? And he gets lost in the realm of the dead, and somehow ends up possessing the body of Rasputin. And there's a bunch of other shenanigans that happen, but
It's like Quantum Leap mixed with Dante's Inferno. It's sort of weird.
That's a good comparison. This is my favorite
I like that.
Mastodon
I like
color
that
vinyl right here.
That's
Because
a
you're
good
right.
one.
It's simple, and it conveys the the element of the album, the ether. Yes. So I'll let's jump to your spreadsheet.
I just forget. Let's see. Well, sort of, it's a good one. It has a limited amount of songs, and I really like how trimmed down this album is, or just how focused it is.
After Blood Mountain, it's like the exact opposite, right?
7 songs. I think Blood Mountain had like 13 or something.
Yeah.
And really, just the more songs you have, the more chances you have to make a bad song, right? So,
yes,
there is Oblivion's opens up. It opens up differently than the previous 3 albums, which open up with an intense song. This is intense in a it's not loud. It's not in your face. It's bleak and desolate, sort of, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a good song, but it's more in line with their prog elements. And this whole album is basically a prog album, right? It's
kind of their prog concept record, which I'll briefly say. So to make this album, Troy listened to Animals by Pink Floyd every day, supposedly, and then Brent listened to In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson every day. So they were really heavy on the prog, kind of going into it.
It's a good album. I think it's loaded with good songs, and if you can read the numbers, you already know. Oblivion's a good song. I've listened to it. It's probably one of the most songs I've listened to. But all of these, I realized I've listened to before when I listened to it this past week. So I assume you've played it a few times or something.
Yes, I did, and I definitely played because I've had this vinyl copy for a while, so it was probably on a rotation, mixed in with Leviathan and Once More Around the Sun. I bet.
Yeah, Divinations is good. I really like it. It's just, it has that great. This is also a very well structured album, like their first 2. And it benefits from trimming down the excess songs, especially when the songs are so long. They have 2 10-minute plus songs on this.
Yeah, the Czar and the Last Baron. Which funny, those are
my 10s. I like
10s out of 10s.
It's I like them. They're some 10-minute songs take too long. They're just these songs seem to are almost partitioned into sub songs.
The songwriting here is very linear in my like it will go on the one part and then it'll transition to the next and then it'll progress,
It's a story basically.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a storybook. Like it was
you can divide the different sections of the song up and kind of track it in that way, specifically for the Czar and the Last Baron.
Definitely those 2. I think all of them to some extent have that element. Quintessence also a good one. And I'm starting to notice the tag team vocals a lot on this album, right?
Yeah.
Where
so this is the vocal introduction of Brand too, where he starts.
Which song
singing.
is
So now we have 3 vocalists here. His introduction is on Oblivion.
Yes.
Where he
does that. Yeah. He has those.
Brent does the chorus, but he sings like the pre-chorus, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like he pops up in other
It
tracks
says
too.
here he's in Crack the Sky, which also has Scott Kelly.
Yes.
And yeah, this is Quintessence. I felt I could really sing along to this one. I've noticed that it's Hines and Sanders really do good work on this album, honestly. And Daler doesn't do as much, I guess, Bran.
Yeah. This was
I've
kind
only
of
been
his.
reading their last names, so
Yeah. This was kind of his introduction, I guess.
Mhm.
Like he becomes a bigger part later on for sure.
Yeah, and the Hunter and the other ones he does basically every song.
Man, they give him
But
center stage. Yeah.
there's the Tsar. It's a good long form song. It does a good job of breaking up the parts so that it doesn't last too long on a specific motif or riff for too long before it moves on to the next portion. And that's sort of what you need in my opinion, good long form prog songs. But and they do that well on this album.
Agree.
There's And for example, when I say the intro blends into the previous song for me, to me that's a good thing. That's a good structure thing. When I listen to an album, I want to have the experience of listening to the complete album rather than listening to a bunch of different songs on the same record, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like it ties the two halves of the album together. This is Karelia? Yeah, Ghost of Karelia.
That's a
Karelia.
cool one. Yeah.
It is a good one. That's over by Finland, I think. That may be where Rasputin is from. I don't know. But yeah, that's an interesting song. Really like Sanders' vocals on that one. Crack the Sky. An additional. It's another great transition from the previous song. It has a depressive sound, and it builds. Yeah, right now builds nicely. Yes, something I like on this album is when Sanders does the verses. They just have they have a specific sort of sound they do under verses a lot of the time, where it's sort of a rumbling, it's sort of like a rumbling noise sound, and there's not as much melody, and they just focus on the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, it's
yeah.
very bass and rhythmically driven.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of these songs you can get into a real, you can get into a groove and just go through the whole album for this album at least. And I think
Mm-hmm.
most of them. Maybe the best song on this album, The Last Baron. It's really good. It's a good expression of their creative juices. It feels like Blood Mountain was them experimenting but not knowing what to do with it. And The Last Baron, they know what to do with it now. They know what to do with all the crazy elements they add in.
Yep. Man, that's a good take. That's agreed.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't live too long, even though it's a long song. They managed to have enough variations to just keep it fresh the whole time, which, that's hard to do. It is really hard to make good long songs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so whole album, it's a 9.1 for me, 9.14. And that is obviously the number one.
Wow. I wasn't sure with this being like the first time you listened to it. if you're going to get to that conclusion or not. But damn, that's cool. Yeah. I would have to probably just follow in your footsteps there. Yeah, to me, this is the realization of Mastodon up to this point. This is what they've been striving for really since the beginning, I think. I mean, I I've definitely mentioned that the previous three transitional albums, and I think each one they were building towards this, even with Remission, you know? Like the progressive elements on Remission were looking ahead at Crack the Sky. And this is the cohesive final product that Mastodon, wanted to deliver. It's their sound fully realized, and it's just a super cool concept album. It's the whole package, really. Probably one of my favorite albums of this decade. Probably my favorite album of the year, 2009. It's hard not to overstate just how good this album is for me. Oblivion is my second favorite overall Mastodon song after Blood and Thunder. That it's very haunting. Mark, I kind of like how you said it's not the barn burner that they usually pull as their first track, but like the weight of it, just like kind of in the emotions that they convey is definitely still heavy. And supposedly it's just about a person kind of lost in space. Like the concept that they have about the quadriplegic astral projecting. Supposedly he astral projects too far and he severs the spinal cord or whatever that connects him to his physical form, and he just drifts off into space, and that's what Oblivion is about. The music video is also really good too, a very serious one about the band all dying in outer space.
I believe it inspired the movie Gravity.
Yes. So yeah, Sandra Bullock watched that music video and was like, let me pitch this movie Gravity, and then that's how it got made. But yeah, Oblivion, like the first introduction to Bran as a vocalist, and it's great. They use all three vocalists to killer results. And also the guitar solo on here might be my favorite Mastodon guitar solo. That's a Brent Hines one, and it's very reserved and beautiful, really. Mark, you mentioned the Czar pretty well. You kind of summed up that song. I love the riff that comes in. Like it's very eerie in like the verse and everything. And then it's got this hard rocking riff that just comes in, that kind of builds and carries it to the chorus. And that's what makes the song. First time I saw them live, they played that, and it was the highlight of the set for me, was the Czar. I want to mention Crack the Sky. So that is a very heavy song for multiple reasons. So
yes,
it does have Scott Kelly on vocals. It's probably the most reminiscent of their more extreme metal sound. And also, that song and really the album overall, it is about a person named Sky who is Bran's sister who died at the age of 14 when they were growing up. So it is kind of more of a tribute to her than anything, and really is a heartfelt tribute, and is my favorite guest spot from Scott Kelly too. Like he's on 6 out of the 8 albums for one song, and that's my favorite one is Crack the Sky. And then The Last Baron is, as once again Mark said, just great.
Yes.
Great closer.
The Last Baron. The
Yes.
last Baron.
And it's cool how they divide it up into parts, and when they're getting towards the end, it finally just changes to this hard rocking riff again.
Mhm.
Like that final tempo change that kind of carries it to the end makes it super memorable. Yeah, it's a real just epic final album for this era of the band, and it's their most cohesive, and if as you said, it flows really well. It's really easy to listen to, even though it's fairly progressive in nature.
Mhm.
It's super straightforward. I think they killed it with the pacing, with the songwriting, with how they laid out the tracks on the album. It's great. And I know I you did your spreadsheet. I'm not sharing mine, but I did one too, and it says 4 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
Oblivion, The Czar, Crack the Sky, and The Last Baron.
So what's the number?
So for me, it's a 9.5 out of 10,
Mhm.
and number one,
Yeah.
best Mastodon album. Period. I mean,
Yeah.
like if I were trying to get someone into Mastodon, I don't know if I would give them this album.
That's true.
This would probably be the second one. I think I would give them. I would either give them Leviathan or one of the
the
pop
upcoming ones.
eras. Yeah, depending. So
Those are the easiest to listen to be honest, out of all of them.
So Rick, you're giving me too much credit, man. I'm. You don't want to see a drunk try to use a spreadsheet. It's not going to end well. I'm gonna save that for the professional over here.
I'm not a professional at all.
You brought a spreadsheet to the game, man.
It was a way to organize my thoughts. I would not remember anything I thought about the album if I didn't write it down.
Well, that's so. I don't have a spreadsheet, but I do a Google Docs. So I keep going back to my Google Doc. Parker is asking about we love to have a debate about is this chance, like the creation of heavy metal and stuff, and is it all chance? And I think this kind of is. I mean, like Bran was the drummer first off. I think when he was recording like albums like this, him being a singer was not even close to the, I mean, I don't think they wanted to make pop songs and write pop choruses for him to sing over. It just so happened he is a great singer.
His first,
maybe it's nurture.
His first credit for just backing vocals, not main, is on Blood Mountain.
What song was he on?
It just says backing vocals. The problem I'm looking at Wikipedia, and
yeah,
every album after Blood Mountain has the specific singers for each song, but Blood Mountain does not. It only lists the guests, and then also what they did on the album at the end.
So far, everyone is agreeing about. Man,
I could
go wrong.
That.
Yeah, I think that you go to most Mastodon fans, and that's what they would say. If Callan, if you're still here, I'd be curious of what your number one is. I might assume it would be Leviathan or maybe this one, but I would be interested to know.
I think.
There he is here. Yeah.
Oh, what did he say? Leviathan. Yeah.
Leviathan. Yeah. Callan, did you like Crack the Sky at all, or was that almost a step too far? Sorry, what were you saying, Mark?
I think Crack the Sky is just their most focused album.
Yes.
It only has 7 songs. That's the lowest by like 2 songs, I think, that they've. I think 9 songs. Does Remission have 9 songs?
No, Remission's 11.
11. Is it Leviathan?
Leviathan's 10.
They have a
Blood Mountain is
fairly
12. I mean,
high
it's
number of
yeah.
songs on their albums. The Hunter's like 15 or something crazy, or 13. It depends on which edition you get, I think.
The Hunter is which I guess now we can kind of jump into the Hunter, which
Mhm.
so we definitely agree. Crack the Sky is that album, that they were trying to make the whole time. But yeah, so they did it. They finished their first 4 albums, which is really like a cohesive piece for them. So the question is where do they go from there? And with Crack the Sky, it's definitely that album where if they try to recreate it or even push the envelope further, I think it would have gone too far,
Yes.
Like they would have stopped kind of being them. Still, it's crazy and super interesting that from Crack the Sky, they go to this album right here. And this was the first Mastodon album that I bought right when it came out. Because I got into them probably like 2010. So much anticipated release right here. So I picked this one up kind of recently. This was not when it came out. I bought this used. And we got a simple, just red, which I like. You can't go wrong with that. Also, departure in the album cover.
I really don't like this album cover at all.
Really?
I sort of hate it.
What?
But
why is that?
It's just this 3D. It's like a CGI sort of look.
Well, do you know it's an actual
It's an actual wooden sculpture
that someone made.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you. Like if we were to rank all of the album covers, this would be probably at the bottom or second to the bottom. You know? So this is a stark transition for the band though. I mean, from the emotional intensity of Crack the Sky and the very much still more metal oriented songs and stuff, they just jump. Like, I mean, really, Mark, you mentioned Naked Burn, kind of
it's sort of like they took
as a wink of where they might go. But like from Crack the Sky, there's a leap that goes
I think
to get to this album.
Oblivion sort of flows into it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It has
I guess it's just the tone of it though is different. Because Oblivion is so dark, but a lot of this album is
they use a lot of major chords, or they resolve it a lot. So they never resolve the sound on Oblivion, but almost all of these end with a resolution of the sort of minor discordant chords, and they resolve it at the end. Like
okay. See, I don't know enough about songwriting and to be able to pick up on that. That's cool.
I don't know that much. I like the music theory bit, but I don't know much about instrumentation specifically.
Well, here, I'll let you jump in on that note to your
let's see, the Hunter. So I have, it's sort of hard to get it all on screen. I put it in bold words right at the top.
Oh, really?
It has it's less jazzy. It's not as discordant as the previous ones. It's not bad, but it's a very easy listen. And I think it's too easy to like, you can't plumb the depths of it like you can with the other ones. You can't really get into it. It's a very easy album to listen to. And it's just, the songs are mainly just very flat and consistent. And you can see I barely even fill out all of them.
Yeah, wow.
It's just,
this is quite startling to see, Mark. I thought you were going to have this one higher because this was the
It
first one
was
you
my first
heard.
one, but
Yeah.
it might just be because I've listened to it too much. I've listened to it a lot, and it's just very, the songs just come on in the playlist, and I just, I'm like, yeah, nice, and then it's done. It's good, but that's all it is basically.
Yeah.
Which, for other bands, it might not be that. It's not bad at all, and I don't want to say it's bad, but it's in terms of, I might just say it right now. To me, this is ranked number 8.
Wow.
This album,
Yeah.
because it's too resolved and simplified and not. I don't want to say poppy, just because, but there are some songs I like on this one, but they're not like the Hunter and Dry Bone Valley are really my favorites. I like those songs a lot. Octopus Has No Friends is a good one. Curl the Burl is good. All of them are good.
You can't go wrong with Curl the Burl, man.
It's just the curl the burl. All
It's
these
just the
songs I can
way of
sing
the
along
world.
with the moment they
Yeah.
come on,
What
but they're
about the
also
whoa oh ohs in Curl the Burl? I feel like they never did that on any other. It was such a
yeah.
weird choice.
The most I
Like,
can
I'm
get
okay
to
with
it
it.
is the yay from the Behemoth. Where
Yeah,
steps the Behemoth or whatever it
but
was.
that's very
And
different
it's
from
just
like this pop, like you
yeah.
know. What
It's
a
very
interesting
singable.
choice. Uh-huh. It's so simple. It's just
It is very simple.
like the most simple song.
And it's good, but it's also I'm not gonna talk about it a lot because
Yeah.
I don't have much to talk about.
What is there to say? Really?
Most I have to say is I feel for that octopus.
Dude, yeah, poor guy.
But
He's got to travel more.
it's all 7s, 8s, 9s. They're all good songs. Like for
Mhm.
me, a 7 is a song I don't want to skip, right? I'd like to listen to the whole thing.
You said the what
A
ranking?
7.
8? A 7.
I don't like skipping 7s. I'd only do that if I have a time crunch and I can't listen to everything.
Yeah, I I would never skip songs on this album. For the
Hmm.
most part,
There are a lot of songs though, and like when you're
yeah.
going on just like a 20-minute drive, you can't. You have to pick and choose which ones you listen to. So
Yes. Um any other comments or
the structure to the album isn't as good. It's not cohesive really. It's sort of like Blood Mountain in that sense, but it's not as experimental either. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
they just have a ton of songs on here, and it's just not as structured. I could listen to it all day, but I don't think I would reach any epiphanies listening to it.
No, it's definitely one of those I return to, and I'm always left at the same place,
Hmm.
like, regardless, like, enjoying I mean, there actually are a couple songs that I've warmed up to on this over the years, because along with Leviathan, this is the album that I have the most time with,
Yes.
which I guess I can go and jump in, uh, this is also my number 8. It's for a lot of the same reasons here. I'll go and show the CD copy that I picked
You
up
have
on.
the 15 track one, right?
Yeah,
Or it has more
with a
tracks.
bonus DVD
Yeah.
also. It's got all the trimmings here.
I like that album artwork better.
Yeah, so this is the same wooden sculpture, just
Hmm.
face on, it's probably a little bit more effects and side stuff to kind of make it more interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're right back with Blood Mountain, where it's their most transitional, their really their least cohesive, and it's because, as I said, I feel like they did a jump. I mean, there were definitely, I guess, some hints when you look at like some of the popular choruses from like Oblivion and Naked Burn,
Blood
but like, man, writing Curl of the Burl was probably not on anyone's radar. You know, like when that song came out, I bet everyone was like, what? Like for me, I was still so new to Mastodon as a band and still getting into metal and still very much rooted in a appreciation of hard rock that I was there for Curl of the Burl. Like I remember I listened to that song to death when it came out. And I mean that was your first introduction to it. So
yes, it was.
yeah. To Mastodon. So that's why it was a mainstay. But when I actually dove into the album, like I was kind of immediately disappointed, you know? It was something that I knew all the way back then that this was not Mastodon in their prime. Mainly, I would hear the first 3 tracks and then I would just get bored. Like the first, like Black Tongue, Curl of the Burl, and Blasteroid. Great opening set of songs. You know, Black Tongue has that killer riff. Curl of the Burl we've already talked to death about. Blasteroid is a very dichotomous song where it's got 2 different parts to it. It's got like a very beautiful verse that goes into this harsh screamed chorus, you know, and it's supposed to be about like the mannerisms of a infant, if you will, where there's no in between. It's there's either the extreme happiness or the extreme anger and visceral nature, and it's like what if that kind of entity is inhabited like a a body that could actually destroy stuff, which that's cool. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. But even with those 3 songs, you can notice something. They're all very simple. They're all very much closer to that one note. As you said, there's not as much to dig into, like Black Tongue is that main riff. Blasteroid is centered around that really killer chorus. And then you get to Stargasm and like the excitement and the momentum is just taken away from the album for me. I agree with you about Octopus Has No Friends. I really like that song. That is my favorite song on the album. It's just a cool track that they could only make on this album, if that makes sense,
As well as Creature Lives. I think that one too is also they could only make on this one.
And that was one of the ones that warmed up to me. Like I know initially when I got this, as I said, I would only listen to the first 3 songs and I'd kind of be done. Like I would sometimes get to all the heavy lifting, but I've been diving, a lot more into this album, and Creature Lives is a great song. That one's up there. Bedazzled Fingernails is another one.
Okay.
I really dig that. There is a use of a synthesizer or a keyboard that really creates a spooky vibe, which is absolutely phenomenal. The middle I really struggle with, specifically all the heavy lifting, the Dry Bone Valley, and Thickening. What they all occupy the same space. They're like these mid-paced to like borderline fast songs that they're trying to grasp at a very poppy hook for the chorus, and it's once again very one note. It just doesn't necessarily go deep enough. But once again, I think those choices in songwriting really hints at the next album. Like as that being a main goal. And to me, this they needed to make this album in order to push forward and, you know, get to the next one. But this, I mean, this is a rough in the middle kind of release. As I said, it's my number 8. I would give it probably like a 7.4 or something out of 10. Like I probably I have to intentionally choose to revisit this, you know? Like it's not an album I just will naturally grab to. I'll be like, all right, we're doing a stream. let me re-listen to
Yes.
it. But quick side note, there is a killer fan video for Bedazzled Fingernails. Mark, did I show you that? It's a
I don't
stop
know.
motion video
Oh, yes.
where a fan essentially created the band as, well, I guess they're, you know, who they are as their
Stop. Clay
essence.
figures. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's stop motion clay figures, and it is absolutely brilliant. And I think that's what helped to sell the song for me. I put it in the chat. I would recommend people check it out. It's got, let's see, Bran is played by Eddie the Head. Troy is a wizard. Brent is the creature from the Black Lagoon, and Bill is Bosk from Star Wars. It's fucking awesome. It's absolutely worth checking out. So yeah, that was 2011 with The Hunter. A pretty big difference, and then we're getting to 2014, I believe. Yes, with their next album, Once More Around the Sun, also released on Reprise. And we're back to a cool album cover for sure. I mean, still kind of like a horned beast on there, but look, he's made out of fruit or something.
It makes me like a tomato plant became a Chinese dragon or something. I don't know.
It's
strange.
It's cool. Here. So I mean, this is this is them continuing on with that sound. I'll pull up your pull up your tab, and then I will also be right back. I remembered I forgot to grab something. So talk on.
It's very similar to the previous album, but better, I think. I think they really managed to, I guess, digest the sound they were going for on The Hunter and sort of rework it into something that actually works. Well, not that The Hunter's... Well, anyway, it works better than The Hunter does. And but it runs into similar problems. It starts off with Tread Lightly, which is a really good one. It has the great guitar solo, which Brent Hines does a lot, or that's his name, right? Hines does a lot of good guitar solos on this. Yeah, Brent Hines. A lot of the songs have them. I think I have them listed. Tread Lightly's great. The Mother Lode is great. Music videos, pretty an interesting music video. A lot of these songs have that groovy, easy to listen to feel to them that you get in this sort of era of Mastodon. And the good thing is there's more depth to this album than there is to The Hunter. So to me, I get more reward out of re-listening to it. It has more jazzy influence. The High Road's a good song. There are a few bits that, to me, bring it down to a 7, but I do like it. Then we get Once More Around the Sun, the title track. It's a good song. it really brings home that discordant sound again that they really lost in the Hunter, I think. And it's pretty good. Once more around the sun we go again. And it's just a solid song throughout. It's not the best. I really like Chimes at Midnight. I like how cyclical it is. It has that kind of like up and down flow to it.
Yeah, it's cool to see that as your 10.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, both
It's
of
got
your
a few
10s
good.
are neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that flow. That flow it's got. Some of them, like Asleep in the Deep, this next one, it has things that I think I would like, but I just can't get into it.
The chorus
Really,
is a
it's
little
just
clunky.
too. Yeah, there's something about it. I couldn't put to words exactly what it was, but it, it's like a worse Oblivion almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's something slightly wrong with it. Feast Your Eyes is good. It just doesn't reach the. There's two different kinds of sevens. There are the ones that are just seven all the way through, and then there's the ones that could be better but have something wrong with them. In my,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like. Those songs are like that. Aunt Lisa, that's an interesting song. It has a chant in it, which I'm not a big fan of these chants
Oh, yeah.
that they add in every once in a while. But it's easy to sing to. You can yell it at the top of your lungs.
Was it hi ho, let's
Let's
fucking rock
fucking
and
go.
roll?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey ho, let's fucking go. Hey ho, let's get up and rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that is actually a guest spot from a local like all girl punk band from Atlanta.
I was wondering who sang it. The
Yeah,
coat hangers? Is that
what
what
is
it
it?
is? It says coat hangers right here. I don't know what.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the coat hangers are American all-female punk rock garage band from Atlanta. Yeah.
Yep. So you don't like the
Not the biggest fan
coat
of it.
hangers? That's funny.
It's a good
Yeah.
song still. I like the rest of it enough to make it an 8.
That riff that they chant over though,
Yeah,
I
it's
love.
really good.
I
It is
actually
really
really
good.
like that part. I think the whole song builds to that, and then you're just
It
like,
does.
and it's weird and
yeah,
it's just fun. It's fun,
it is
and
fun.
yeah.
But it's still, and I mean, only an 8. Like,
It's
that's not a massive score. But
Mark, here's the interesting thing. Your 10s are the least fun songs on this album.
they are serious, but I
They're the
like
most
them.
serious songs. I mean,
Ember City's a good one.
mm-hmm.
It's honestly, I think maybe their best chorusy song, their best sing-along song they've made. If that makes sense.
Dude, I agree. Yeah, no, the chorus hook on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was slipping away, what is it?
What I say
what do I
to
say to
you?
you? Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
man.
I don't know. Is it just a love song? Because it's sort of, I don't know what it is exactly, but that's what I always thought it was.
I
Red
think
Light
so. I
District
heard
song,
that
Ember City. That's what I thought.
Brent went through like a breakup or something before
Mm-hmm.
going into writing this album. So some of these songs are kind of more of that getting over someone kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good song. Halloween, another really good song. It's, as with most of this album, it's just easy to listen to. A lot of this album's easy to listen to. The two that I think are the hardest to listen to are Chimes at Midnight and Diamond in the Witch House, which I really
Are your
enjoy.
favorites?
Yeah, I enjoy struggling through my music, I guess. But yeah, it's Diamond in the Witch House is a good ending, I think. I love the layered voices they use. I like the unsettling sound they have. The drumming is, of course, always great. I don't often mention the drumming much because I'm just not focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
But drumming for me is one of those things I only realize when it's bad, you know?
That's fair. Yeah. And with Brand, it's never bad. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah. There's never a
there's
song
not
which I
one.
complain about the drumming
Mm-hmm.
from Mastodon. And it's
Sorry, look at Parker here.
what did he, I'm not on that page. High Road at 7. He does like High Road.
I didn't know I didn't know he liked High Road that much.
No, he does. You'll take the high road now. Now take the one below. I put it at 7 for a stupid reason. So there's, our sister watched this Barbie movie all the time, and this song was the High Road, and it's about, and I just always think of that. It's not related at all, but it's just,
Huh.
it's unavoidable. I just have
Mark,
bad
I
memories
put
about.
High Road as a 7 as well.
Okay.
It's a 7 for me too.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
So yeah. I'll let you finish your piece and then I'll talk. But
I mean, that's really, I think this is all there is to it. It's a good. Oh, I bring it down with the album construction because again, you don't have the same sort of flow you had on the first 4 albums. I don't know if you have that flow on
no.
any of the past 4, but the most recent ones. But yeah, that brings it down. I think I still have it as. Let's see what I have it as.
So it's below an 8 for you?
Yeah, it's a 7.8. And it's number 7. It's just above the Hunter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I
mean,
thought
I've already filled out the top 3 spots,
What it was Crack the Sky, Leviathan, and then
Blood Mountain.
Blood Mountain.
And then 5th is Remission. So there's a
Yes.
4 in there somewhere, which we haven't seen.
Okay. Dude, Parker, tell us, because I don't have Spotify up on this computer.
I like it.
What is the most played? I mean, I know when you look up Mastodon, just like even on my phone where it doesn't show all of the numbers, I believe the Motherload is pretty high up there in play counts. Yeah, 34 million for the Motherload. I mean, it's second only to Blood and Thunder with almost 60 million plays, which is impressive. So, but Parker, it's hard to say because that's the final song in the album. So if people are listening through, most likely they're going to drop off before that. So that's not going to be a actual way to measure quality. That's just measuring the patience of your average, music listener.
I find a lot of people aren't patient. It's surprising, I know.
Believe it or not, pop songs are important for a reason. The 3.5 minute long pop song. But no, here, let me kind of dive into Once More Around the Sun. So this is the full piece. I really want to get this one on an album. On vinyl, because that's cool. This is
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if we were to rank album covers, I think this would it'd probably be like 3rd or 4th because it's kind of hard to beat.
I have no idea what it's supposed to be.
Dude, who the fuck knows? It's
like the first 4. I understand how they link to the album.
It's this a trip.
I guess it's a trip around the sun.
Yeah. This is one of their albums where it's not tied to like a concept. It's not tied to a element. It's just is what it is, which to me this is probably my second most important Mastodon album for me. Just memory wise and
I agree.
Just thinking about it, like probably my most important would have to be probably Leviathan, just because of the way that how it is. But this one is my most nostalgic Mastodon album. I just remember getting this and immediately really falling for how they nailed that pop songwriting that they were really trying to do in The Hunter, but they kept falling short in The Hunter.
Yes.
But on this one, they absolutely nailed it. And I just remember, loving, being able to play this for us, for me, you, and Parker. We'd be driving around, listening to this album, and I have tons of memories attached to this thing because of that, and to us three, kind of.
Yes.
Also, it's a very seasonal album. To me, this reminds me of May and June. It's that like entry to summer. It's a very lush, warm, and just fun album. Like, I put this on for like a barbecue, or we're at the pool, or just doing some frivolous summer activity.
Pretty sure you've done that too.
Yeah, oh definitely. Yeah. It's just a fun album. They nail what they wanted to do with The Hunter. Like The Hunter, they were trying to be fun, but they were, once again, they were doing too much growth, if you will, and it was just an awkward transition album. This one feels complete, if you will. Like they did what they wanted to do on The Hunter, on this album. Tread Lightly and The Motherlode, those are both 10 out of 10 tracks for me. They are
ones. So,
but they have that chorus that just immediately captures your attention, and you get sucked into it.
But you don't go any deeper. You just get sucked in, and that's all.
But you can. That's the thing. No, I think you can.
More than The Hunter.
I think you can. Like, Curl the Burl is that guitar riff and the chorus, and like that's it. Tread Lightly, there's multiple different parts to the song that build up to the chorus.
That is true.
And even how they do the chorus, it's instead of just saying the one line, they don't even say tread lightly. It's a full like paragraph that they're saying during the chorus. Like they really flesh it out, It's impressive, I think. Like The Motherlode is more of that straightforward songwriting, but kind of as Parker mentioned here, man, that chorus is just so good. I could listen to it on repeat. I mean, I know it's oftentimes disliked because of just how hooky and catchy that chorus is, but I love it.
Bullet through the chord.
Like that's the post chorus or the refrain, if you will.
Yeah.
That's the chorus right here. And then he mentions a bullet through the head right after that, which don't know what the song is about.
That's what I remember.
Who knows?
The most.
Which is funny because this song is so fucking catchy. The chorus lives in my head rent free, So both of those songs are 10 out of 10. High Road is a great High Road is the one where I think it's more of a boring Hunter song. It's one note, it's that guitar riff, and then the chorus is just, you take the high road down, I'll go the one below you, or whatever. And that's kind of it. There's not too much there. The music video is cool, but that's kind of it. Chimes at Midnight and Asleep in the Deep kind of occupy a similar space for me, where they're like that middle progressive Mastodon that I think they needed to have on this album. So they're important, but they don't stand out on their own, if that makes sense. I think I actually like Asleep in the Deep a little bit more than Chimes at Midnight. The chorus is a bit clunky, and that's their most vocally ambitious chorus that they've ever done. I think all three of them are singing, or at least there's two people trading off vocals during it, and it's very busy. But it's still cool and kind of a unique song for them. Feast Your Eyes is right up there with High Road, where it's these are the dips in the album, you know. And so while, as I said, it's not a transitional album, it doesn't feel cohesively pieced together all the way throughout, kind of because of they're still changing it up a little bit, you know, and that there's still the low points from High Road and Feast Your Eyes. Ember City, that I think I would put Motherload as the better chorus by just a little bit. But man, that is a phenomenal chorus. And another distinct nostalgic memory I have is seeing it live.
Yes.
And us just all belting it out. That was the best part of that concert, was that song for me. Ember City. And then Halloween, dude, that's a riff a minute song.
Yes.
Like, that's a 10 out of 10. Ember City and Halloween are 10 out of 10s for me. They're just so fun and simple, but there's enough depth to them that I will continually play it. I mean, I listen to this album probably a couple times a year, you know, and it's just easy. It's fun. Yeah, it's great. Diamond in the Witch House, another Scott Kelly, and I don't give it a 10 out of 10, but it's great. It's probably one of his better ones, I think. One of his better guest appearances, and it's really one of the odd men out on the album, because it's very spooky and dark, and it does match the tone of Chimes at Midnight. You know, so there you go. But I like the repetitive nature of it, because it really like kind of builds, you know, towards the end, and also the being the longest song of the album. But it's cool.
Well, you know, Mastodon's not the first band to. Well, it might be actually. Versus, because you have different styles. You have this one where they alternate almost, which is almost like similar to like some kind of musical, you know, because that's really the only other places where you take alternative times singing, doing vocal solos with two different characters. But it is very good. The other ones, a lot of times people will do layered vocals for the chorus. That's more fairly common.
Yeah, so they'll just all pile in on the main motif. So Parker did send me the play counts for
Yes, you sent me that too.
That's funny. I mean, it's kind of what I said. Like, the beginning of the album is going to be more heavily listened to. I mean, especially like the lead single, which the Motherload was. And then as you get towards the end, it's just going to naturally taper off. You know, I mean, like Ember City, as I said, the catchiest song, only 5 million plays.
I think a lot of that is, in my opinion, album structure matters. So if the songs don't lead you into to the end of the album themselves, then you're not going to get there. Right.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if it's,
and that is one thing. If I had to complain about Mastodon at all, it's that they only have 3 albums where the album structure really leads you through the album itself, and
this is not one of them. Did you
it's
say
not
that?
one of them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think we're about to talk about one of them though, right?
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to say about Once More?
No.
Or yeah, I forget. Did I say that this is my number 4?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which I mean, I praised the shit out of this album, but it's 4 out of 8 and
Well,
8.6 out of 10.
8.6, pretty high, but it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
But
Yeah.
I mean, and it's in the discography, in a great discography. So what you gonna do?
Yes.
But yeah. So from there we go to what is this? 2017 with
Emperor of the Sand.
Emperor of the Sand. So we return to more of a concept kind of album here. It's kind of loosely structured around the theme of terminal illness, specifically cancer. There were a couple people close to the band who were kind of battling it. Troy's wife was battling cancer leading up to this, and then also Bill's mom, I think, ended up passing away because of cancer before this. So that definitely frames this album going into it, and I think this is them returning back to more serious music. Like the party Mastodon is over. That was a 2-album phase. Like I would still like kind of corral these 4 albums together, but within the 4, the first 2 and the next 2 are separate, I think.
But it's more like serious, like alternative pop rock. It's not actually at all, but it's not. It's not going back to the earlier
metal,
proggy.
Yeah, no, it's not like they're prog metal serious, but it's conceptually and the lyrical content, and really even like the sound of the music. I mean, there's no chanting vocals like on Aunt Lisa.
They have some good ones, but they it's not as chanty at all.
Yeah.
So, but they do have some good choruses on this one.
Yes, they definitely stick with this songwriting. That's why I would still say that this is a successor to this album.
It definitely is.
And it's not like a full departure. Like I would still lump them together, but the tone is different. So
yeah, it builds off of it.
Onto the spreadsheet.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, here I say it has the best choruses.
And I say
they're
more they're a little more restrained. Yeah.
I do say that I think a lot of the songs are like somewhat repetitive. You can see I don't have any tins on it, even though I had tins on the previous album. But
yeah,
I think this album is more consistent, and it's consistent at a higher level, if that makes sense. But and also the long form song that they have on this one, I guess that's Jaguar God and a few others, but I didn't really like those as much. I mean, they're good, but they didn't grab me like their earlier long form ones. Let's start with in order though. Sultan's Curse. It's a good song. I couldn't it's especially when I listened to it all in a row for their whole discography. It may be different when you haven't listened to Mastodon in a while and you pull it out of its shelf. But listening to it just consecutively back to back with their previous albums, it sort of just blended together with Once More Around the Sun and The Hunter. Yeah. So it's a 7 for me, Sultan's Curse. Show Yourself. I really like that. It's got a really good sing-songiness that they build off of, like Motherlode or, Show Yourself. Show Yourself. It's very good in that chorusy bit.
Oh, you
and
gave
I
it
don't
a 9,
think,
yeah.
I don't think the choruses are necessarily better than like Ember City, but they have the most consistently good choruses on this album, is what I would say. Like they've brought all the other choruses in line with that sort of level, sort of a higher level, in my opinion. Precious Stones, it's a very good mix of their previous work. It somehow here I'm saying Sultan's Curse is a bit forgettable because it's too much like their earlier works, and then I say this is a mix of all their more recent works, but they managed to construct it well. I like Precious Stones. And then you get into Steam Breather, which is another sort of show yourself style song. But it has a more different opening. It has different instrumentals. It's good.
It's a bit more progressive, I think, because the Show Yourself is such a quick, like, flash in the pan. Like, I think it's less than 3 minutes, and this is pushing 7, or
yes, it's
at least
fairly
6.
long. And Steam Breather has a good sort of cyclical. If you can listen to it again, but it goes through a four-part cycle of a 3-part motif where it's don 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 don. It's like, you know what I mean, at the beginning.
Yeah, like the main riff.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
It's got a good feel.
One of my favorite parts on the album is the opening riff, and maybe that's why. It's just
yeah, it's like 12. It's very good. I like how they do it. Roots Remains a good one. It doesn't have as much stuff to grab you as the previous one, but it's a very good song as well. I think it's also fairly long, but 6 minutes or just 5.
Yeah, I mean, these are all like longer pop songs for sure.
Yeah, Roots Remains 6 minutes. Steam Breather's 5. I think the video's long because it has that intro portion where they go into the shop.
Oh, maybe that's why. Yeah.
Word to the Wise brings it. It has hushed lyrics that I didn't really like them much, but it managed to work them well into the song. And there was some interesting instruments, and I noticed a lot of instruments. Were there mariachis in that? What was it? There was like I didn't know if you noticed it, but there was a shaky sound. Was it a drum kit?
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes they have like whatever those things that you shake in your hand made of little metal cymbals.
Oh,
and you sometimes hit them on the drum set.
But, man, I'm drawing blank. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's good. Ancient Kingdom. This is more of a standard. I have this as a 7.
Yeah, I think that was the weakest for me of that stretch of songs.
It has a good guitar solo, but basically Brent Hyde sort of always does good guitar solos.
Oh, it's a tambourine, Mark. That's what.
Tambourine.
Yeah.
Okay. Clandestiny. I really like this one. I like the music video as well. I like the sort of meaning it has behind it.
That's the one where all the robots or the one robot guy is taking over the world and going from world to world.
Yes.
Doing it. Yeah, that's a good music.
Kill Yourself So I Can Breathe or something like that is the chorus, and I really like it. How it builds, and then how it, like, at the end when it you have the guitar solo overlaid on top of the chorus, and it's like, I don't know why I haven't heard that much before, but they downplay the chorus, put it down, and then they put the guitar solo on top. And I really liked it. And then it begins with the beginning. I bet you could put it on loop and you wouldn't be able to tell when it begins again. But I didn't try that to see if it worked. It just sounds like it would. And then these last ones, it sort of fell flat for me, like how you were saying for the earlier albums where they sort of just blended together. It just, I couldn't distinguish these three from each other. Andromeda, Scorpion Breath, and Jaguar God. I mean, they're different, but they just it didn't. It's their sevens, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Okay, interesting. What was this an album that you listened to before, like when it came out?
I did listen to it a lot when it came out, probably maybe 10 times. Not an impressive amount because I didn't buy it or anything, but I listened to it on YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a Jaguar God has a really nasally opening to me. Is that just me? Like for the first 2 minutes.
Like with the vocals or with
the vocals are very nasally and high, and it reminds me of Avenged Sevenfold, which is not
interesting. No, I you might have ruined that song for me.
It's
you
just
bastard. I don't know.
For me, that's why it's a 7 rather
than
but
I like where it goes.
Like the last. I like the last bit of it. Yeah,
dude, the last bit of it is
it's really good.
Epic. I don't know. I really like really Jaguar God, but mainly because of that.
I couldn't get past the intro. Well, I could because I liked the last bit of it, but it stayed in my head.
I guess I didn't have issue with the beginning,
Yeah.
So where
this
it be?
Is a this is number 6, just below Remission. I like Remission.
So Remission's 5, and then this is
and this is a 7.9 basically.
Okay. All right. Wow. Yeah. So this is your favorite of the next
those
three, if you will, which is like I would like Mastopop albums, kind of, because this is really where they were experimenting with like building up to these hooky choruses that really anchored the song, and like that was the main goal of their songwriting, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head with a bunch of the stuff on Emperor of Sand. I mean, for me, it's definitely a more cohesive and probably, I would say, one of their top 3 most cohesively structured albums. I mean, it really is one tight package that centers around the concept. I mean, it feels very focused and very driven.
I would put it below Remission, because I think Remission is the 3rd most focused, and then you have this one.
See, I don't have that with Remission. I still feel like Remission was a little bit kind of all over the place in how they did it. Like for me, it would be Crack the Sky. We'll get to this album, the next one, and then and this would be the 3rd.
Leviathan is the 2nd most focused. After Crack the Sky. And
that's a debate, my friend. That's a debate.
Yeah. And Remission. You know those intros to like in certain movies where you have like montages of all kinds of like
the
natural disasters and crimes? No, this would be a different genre.
Yeah.
But it's like you have animal violence, you have human violence, you have train crashes, you have disasters. That is Remission.
That's Remission.
And that's the focus. It's like one of those montages.
I definitely was not like thinking like that for sure. Like I guess with Remission, and maybe sometimes I'll have to check my expectations, because the expectation is like it's their first album, so it's going to be a little more unfocused, and it's just them throwing stuff out there, and especially because it kind of sounds like it to me, where they're throwing out like the more progressive songs along with these short, like, really furious tracks.
But the fact that they're alternating, to me, is more montagey. It's more intentional. It's more like a really disordered album is Blood Mountain is.
God, yeah. Or the Hunter. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, regardless, this is definitely a cohesive album, and it flows really well. It almost flows too well, you know.
Hmm.
Like, I
Like,
think the biggest strength of this album is the reason that it's not in my top 4 for Mastodon, because it flows so well. It's kind of hard to pick out, any standout track from it and be like, this is the pinnacle of this
hmm
album. Like you, I don't have any
yeah, I
tens.
don't have any
There's
tens.
no there's no tens on this album. Um, there's a whole bunch of nines.
Hmm.
And here, I'll break down the structure of this album. So to me, there's 3 different pieces to it. There's the first 2 songs, which is kind of like an introduction. Sultan's Curse, I dig. That's definitely like a throwback to almost a Blood Mountain sound.
Hmm.
And then Show Yourself to me is more of that one note, The Hunter kind of track.
Hmm.
But it works
It
because
works really well in
yeah,
this
I,
one.
I really like it. I didn't give it a 9, I gave it an 8
Hmm.
for a track, but it works because it's the only song of that
It's
nature on this
true.
album, and because it's track number 2.
Hmm.
You're kind of ready for that. It's the same as Curl of the Burl,
Yeah.
and Curl of the Burl worked because it was the second track, and you needed that kind of
Hmm.
poppy hook to
People have more
prepare
time
you.
for that when it's the first 2 and you aren't worn out already.
Exactly. And yeah, it feels more purposeful.
Hmm.
And then Precious Stones through Clandestiny, that is just pop Mastodon kind of pairing up with their progressive Crack the Sky songwriting
Hmm.
and just really nailing it. I mean, there's not a bad song of the bunch. I agree with you that Ancient Kingdom is the one weaker track.
Yeah.
Everything else is like a 9. I think the Ancient Kingdom is an 8 for me.
Hmm.
I would say Steam Breather is my favorite, with Clandestiny being a
Yes.
close second.
Yeah, I
But
could agree with that.
they all follow a very similar structure where it's all about the chorus, but then at the same time, the rest of the song is not lacking.
Hmm. And
Like
they play around with the chorus a lot too.
yeah, you're right. They're fairly adventurous with the songwriting here. So, but because all of those songs are very much doing the same thing, like the focus is on the chorus, the focus
Hmm.
is on like this progressive songwriting that they're messing around with. They blend together a little bit.
Hmm.
Like I definitely have issue with differentiating sometimes. I would say it's more minor, and they're all still great, but I'm happy when Andromeda kicks in. So I definitely disagree about the end of the
Hmm.
album. I think the end is great and preferred because it breaks up that
It
um
does, but
yeah,
it's
it
missing
gives you something
something.
different. Like I guess I could see that.
Basically, for me, all those were good, but every one of them had some problem with them. There were those sevens that have problems with them. Not, they
Hmm.
were better songs that have some minor issue that brought it down.
Yeah.
Unlike Ancient Kingdom, which is just a 7. You know.
For me, Andromeda is cool, and it's like their heaviest
It
song
is.
in a while, and it's also got a guest vocalist as well. It's got Kevin Sharp from the band Brutal Truth, which
Okay.
I got a CD right here. This is a grind band from the
Oh.
from the 90s. I mean,
Hmm. Is that a
like
gorilla?
it's a businessman.
Yeah. I figured who the businessman was.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a grind band, so you can tell that it's a political
Yes.
statement is what it is. Uh But yeah, I really like Kevin Sharp's inclusion on Andromeda, and I think it really helps separate out the pop Mastodon, like 7 songs we heard with the very end of the album. Scorpion Breath is another one with Scott Kelly that I definitely kind of begin to fatigue with that song. Like, we're talking about right now. Oh, I can't
Yes.
really remember it too well. So,
Yeah.
but then Jaguar God to me brings everything together where it's like a combination of an older sound and that poppier, sensibility that they did in the middle of the album. And how they end it is just awesome.
That
Because
is
there's such
true.
like bombastic very climactic kind of feel to the very end of the song that I really like. So that's a standout for me. This one to me, it is the perfect sister album to this one. Like they're really like just different sides of the same coin, right?
They're
Like
kind of
this
like
one,
that.
they're having fun. They're not like necessarily caring about the flow as much or the concept behind it. They're nailing the pop choruses, and then this one, they're that crack the sky Mastodon. So I think this might be my introduction to like a new Mastodon person.
Yeah. They're very easy to listen to, and they have better structure than the Hunter. So
yeah. 1 sec. There we go. So yeah, and 2017 they released a EP called Cold Dark Place.
Yes.
Which I do not own. I should have picked it up when it came out because it was originally selling for like $7.
Is it expensive now?
Not really, but like 12, which for like an
Yeah.
EP, I mean,
I listened to it on YouTube when it came out.
yeah,
That has Toe to
it's
Toes and
yeah,
right?
Toe to Toes is a good one. I don't know the other stuff off the top of my head. It's actually the one thing I did not listen to, like
I didn't
leading
listen
up
to it
to it.
either.
Yeah,
I listened to it way back when it came out, but I didn't feel the need to listen to it again after that first listen. So
yeah, it's good. It's one I want to own. Just as a Mastodon fan, I feel like
completionist.
it's But then I think it also is a different side of this pop Mastodon sound because it's very much lighter. There's not as many guitar riffs and stuff. It's a lot more focused on dialed back and reserved songwriting. So
Yes.
I don't know if I would like rank it higher than even Call of the Mastodon, but it's still good. Quick shout out, Brian over here entered the chat. He dude, he was at a Elder concert tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I think I have one of their.
Yeah, Mark, which Elder album do you have?
Where is it?
So, dude, Brian, cheers, man. How was the concert? Let me know. Because he was at with Ruby the Hatchet too, Mark, if you know them.
I don't think I do. My albums are all disorganized, so it's probably in this bucket.
Oh shit. That's the car bucket, right?
Yeah.
Brian, what's your favorite Mastodon album? By the way, I'm curious. Yep. What is it? What is that? Where Roots Stir or something?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Dead Roots Stirring. Close.
Dead Roots Stirring. Yeah.
I like this one.
Yeah, that's a cool. I haven't actually really listened to that album. It's funny. When you got it, I think I listened to it once, but then
Yeah, we probably listened. Yeah.
like for me, Reflections of a Floating World and is it
Hmm.
Lore?
I know Reflections of a Floating World. I'd have to check.
I mean,
Or,
those are my two elder albums.
but this isn't an elder.
No, sorry.
Oh, a new
Brief
sour.
segue. What sour did you get? And then a remission fan here.
Hmm. It's a good one.
Yeah. Brian, when did you hear or when did you get into Mastodon? Was it like leading into remission or after? But I believe it. Brian's he's a little older than me, and I'll mention some of these bands like Yob or
Hmm.
like Red Fang, and
Yeah.
it's that's when you know you're talking to a different listener when it's someone who got into them right like when they started, and it kind of it
Hmm.
shapes how you
It
view the
does.
band's output.
And I'm a big if I have the chance to control when I get into something, I always like starting from the beginning. But you don't
Yeah,
always get that.
me too, but it's definitely not like that. And it's honestly, Mark, we should do a separate stream about this entirely because there's so many bands that are like what album we got into them.
Yes.
That's it.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to get too off track, but real quick, Clayman from In
Clayman.
Flames is the
Yes.
biggest one, dude. So many
Yes.
people hate that album, but for me, that's the album. That's it.
Yeah. It's like their last good one. Like,
It is
well,
their
we can
last.
talk.
It is their last good one, but it's yeah. That'll have to be
It's
separate.
teetering on
But
the edge of the cliff, I guess, is what it sounds like. But
oh, absolutely,
it's the highest part of that mountain.
yeah. But
Uh,
dude, cheers. So we're down at the very end, and
oh yes, hushed and grim.
just over the 3 hours mark. Is that the same whiskey?
I drink it slow,
You do drink it slow.
and
I
it's on
respect you.
rocks, so it doesn't dilute.
I respect you. I am on my third beer since we started, so and they're slightly heavy, so I got to go slow for
Well, I mean,
this
this is just
last little
straight
bit.
whiskey, so
Yeah, but you're still on the same. It is Evan
oh,
Williams.
it's not only one shot.
That's true.
But
It is Evan Williams, though. If I were trying to drink Evan Williams, I would be.
it's not the smoothest drinking.
No, it is not. It's funny because I haven't caught you doing any like, you know, recoil or
It's not
flinching.
bad. It's like a 5 out of 10, maybe.
I was about to say it's not good. It's not
Yeah,
bad,
it's
but
not
it's
good
not
either.
good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I believe me. I think the same Evan Williams in my
Hmm.
little liquor cabinet too. The black label.
For me, I can drink most whiskeys without reacting, but tequilas and stuff, I just can't
Oh,
drink straight at all.
tequila is a
Yeah.
rough. It's a rough fucking drink.
Hmm.
Um, rum is smooth, but
Rum is very
it grows
dependent.
old on you,
It's
kind of.
dependent on the brand as well, I find.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Well, yeah. Dixie Collins from Weed Eater. That's his brand is Evan Williams. No, all right. So back to Mastodon. We gotta push through to the end here.
oh yeah, that's what I felt like listening to this album.
Right? Because you
It's
get
too
to
long.
you get to this one, and then you realize you have a double album at the very end.
Yes.
And whew,
It's funny how it worked out because if you do them, I've already listed out 7 of the 8 list.
yes.
There's only one spot left.
Yep. So we both know where this album stacks up.
But I know we have different opinions.
But not as different as I would have thought, actually.
Oh, that's 6 for you? 7? 8? 2? 2. Wow. That's higher than I
isn't
thought.
this 4 for you?
That's 4 for me, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it has some of the worst Mastodon songs ever. but also a lot of the best. Like it's very. There are some I really didn't like at all, and there were some that are just pretty good. Like very
Okay,
good.
well, I am definitely excited
Somehow
to dive into
yeah.
this because I'm curious about that. But to kind of introduce, this is Hushed and Grim, came out 2021. This is their double album, still on Reprise. So it definitely mirrors a concept, or it doesn't mirror, but it's like the concept of this album pushed to the next logical step. So initially, when they released Emperor of Sand, right? You know, it's a loose concept about cancer, and as I mentioned, you know, Bill and Bran had family members who were battling cancer, but behind the scenes, their longtime manager, Nick John was his name. He was dying of it, essentially. So they I guess they didn't want to publicly announce that was what was going on, but he ended up passing away in 2019. And this album is a direct tribute to him, essentially. And so I guess all the emotions and everything that went into, you know, losing such a vital person to the band. I mean, they definitely talk about what he did for them, because I believe he came on during Blood Mountain. I want to say, like, he as a
Let's
producer.
see.
Yes, see if you
Nick
can
John.
find out when he joined them, but he definitely helped push them forward to that next step, if you will. You know, from being on Relapse, the label,
Yeah,
to
Nick
being
John. There we go.
like, I'm about to see them live tomorrow in a fucking like indoor stadium, if you will, like couple thousand seats. It's gonna be great. But Nick John, I believe,
When did
is
you
what
say
pushed.
you got on them?
Huh?
I can't find any. Let's see. I'm just
Yeah,
looking.
he was the manager, management for the Rick Sales Entertainment Group.
Yeah, he's only mentioned in. I'm Emperor of Sand. I can only find him. I'm just using Wikipedia, so
They did release a like a 12-inch picture disc. It was a cover of Stairway to Heaven in direct tribute to him,
yeah,
called Stairway to Nick John is
I
what they
remember
titled
that.
it. Yeah. And it was because I guess it was to help pay for treatment, or it was either right after he passed. I don't remember specifics, but I know is definitely important to the creation of this album. They released a making of documentary, which kind of dives into that as well, into all that he did. And I mean, this is a double album. There's 15 songs, which, you know, if you're listening to The Hunter at 13 songs, you're like, all right,
Those
fine.
are short and easy to listen to, though.
Yeah, these are not short and they're not easy to listen to.
Yeah.
They take a couple times, and I know you've listened to this one once, right?
I listened to maybe one or two songs twice, just because I felt I needed to. But I would really like to just get on the road and listen to this for a few hours.
Yes, this is definitely it's a meditative album. It's not a immediate album. It's very reserved, very dark and somber.
It's very hushed and
Release.
grim.
Yeah.
You sort of just hit the nail on the head with the title.
Boom. And I mean, that's, yeah, kind of sums it up nicely. And it's a unique one for their discography. Like it kind of fits in with the first three of this era, if you will. Because I would still lump their discography into fours. I mean, I guess we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah.
But I think this still fits in with the first 3 of this, but it really streamlines and focuses all of that while at the same time combining Crack the Skies, progressive and somber
It has some other
songwriting.
elements as well.
Which here, let's
to be
pull up
added
your double album spreadsheet here.
Yeah, disc 1, disc 2. Because I just didn't have it set up to handle a massive amount of songs.
Yeah.
And so I just copied 2 basically. And yeah, I need to listen to this more. I think the score it may be higher if I listen to it more. But there are some songs I just couldn't I didn't like. First, let's start with Pain with an Anchor. I just really like it. It's a good, solid song. It's a great start to it. I didn't have enough time to really, and it just didn't really pop out to me when I was listening to it. Just specific riffs to mark down or specific things to talk about. The crux, it has a lower score, but there's more to talk about with it. The chorus on this one is, it immediately lets you know you're not listening to the previous albums, right? It just, the chorus is heavy. There's no,
it's layered. They have the scream vocals in the background where I don't know who's doing the vocals, like who's doing the screams and who's doing the clean singing, but it's cool.
Yes. And they have, I believe, credits on this one are just, let's see, I believe it's just, it's Sanders. It's only Sanders is who's listed. But that's just lead vocals. So backing vocals, I don't know. Could be a Blind Guardian situation where they record them twice and play them. He does both. He does both bits. But this one might grow on me if I listen to it more. Sickle and Peace might grow on me if I listen to it more. I don't really like the hushed, restrained vocals, even though I know that's the point of the album.
I like
that's the point of it, but I just can't. It's just keeping it at a 7 for me. But I like it. But it's difficult to get into, which is, I need to listen to it more, really, is what it means. But first listen, I couldn't get into it. And then, it keeps going back to the hushed vocals. And I believe the chorus is yelled. And it gets, it's strong.
Yeah.
And I liked it. But More Than I Could Chew, I really like that one. That's a great riff. It has great riff work. Daler comes back with the vocals, but he doesn't do the chorus on this one, I don't think. I think he just does the verses. And then Sanders, I think, does the chorus.
I was going to say Troy, I think, does, yeah.
Yeah. So I like More Than I Could Chew. I like the bridge. I like everything about it, really. The Beast, I could not comprehend, I guess.
I am floored that you gave that a 6.
It is so, it's just twangy. It's almost, I almost couldn't get rid of the country feeling I had when I listened to it. It's like a Wild Western or something. I don't know what it is. But
it's Brent's song. It's Brent Hines. That's his track. That's the main thing he wrote for this album was that, and to me that's his
that's understandable.
Tip of the cap to
But it's very, I don't know. I need to listen to it more. It's off the cuff. It's a 6. It may, on further listens, who knows if I can get into it. But that's really the thing. A lot of
that one took some time for me.
I could understand that. It's also a bit long for what it is, I think.
But there's a lot more. There's a lot more to it than that southern like twang.
Yeah, but that's the first 3 minutes of it.
Yeah,
but
there's also there's a guest vocal a guest guitarist. Let me look up his name, but it's an actual it's a dude from
King?
Yeah, that's a dude from Nashville, Tennessee who is a blues country.
That explains why it's so. And you have some blues sound on like earlier ones, like Megalodon has blues sound to it.
You said Marcus King, right? That's
what I'm looking through.
Yep. So I think if you go into that track with that in mind, that it's going to be more.
I just had no idea. I just saw the Beast. I was brought back to like their most Beast themed album, Remission. It's just very. I didn't know. It didn't go down how I thought it would, and if I had another listen, but this one I listened to today, like an hour before the stream, so
Yes. So like literally, this is the most fresh take that you have of everything. That's cool. Yeah.
Like I'd really love to sleep on it and all that stuff, but.
Well, I appreciate your dedication for doing the stream.
Well, it's really only this one that I had to get through.
Yeah. But it still ended up 4 out of 8, that's impressive.
It is. It has a lot of good songs on it. Like you see Skeleton of Splendor, this brings back to the synth. There's a lot of synth on this album.
Yes.
And I like that. I like synth. I like that sort of sound. It's a good chill song. It's sort of great. I like it. The guitar solo is good as always. And it really, it encompasses you, but it's not like an oppressive feeling. It's more like a burgeoning, like you're just floating in an ocean of sound, I guess. It's very splendorous. I like it. Tear Drinker. The first 10 on the album.
Your 10. Wow. Yeah.
I like it a lot.
That was the lead single too, I think.
Okay. I didn't know that. But it's good. It is 5 minutes. So not really in the longest section of like I know a bunch of the earlier ones were 6 minutes. And I like it. I like the chorus. I like how it builds throughout. I like the synth in the bridge. It just keeps getting better, to be honest.
Yeah, it's that one and Pushing Tides, I think, both occupy a very similar space.
That's true.
Where they're like a lot more.
Pushing Tides is more energetic.
Yeah.
Than Tear Drinker.
It might be the most energetic song in the whole album, I think.
I don't know if it's intentional, but they have a bunch of riffs and then silence and then they say go. And it just. Do you hear that?
Man,
there's a bit in there. It's like towards the end, like a few minutes from the end. Well, it's not even that long. It's 3 minutes. So it's somewhere in the.
It's quick.
Yeah, it's quick, but it didn't feel quick.
I really like those 2 tracks being the transitional tracks from album 1 to album 2.
I agree.
Like, I think it really just it makes you want to listen to the next piece. So.
And I didn't think it was anywhere near as chill as Tear Drinker. And I thought it was sort of a nice energy to break you up from the previous.
Definitely.
Yeah. But next we have Peace and Tranquility, which it's not very peaceful or tranquil, which is fine. But for me, it's also a 6. But that's. It's the hush vocals. I think it's too long.
I kind of agree with that. I think I gave it a.
It's 7. Almost 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it's just too long for what it is, which I think it could be better if they trimmed it down. Dagger, I really love.
Wow.
It's not a 10, but it's a 9. So I like it. It has reverb. It has It's driven by the vocals. Then you get the drum coming in. It has some Chinese instruments. I couldn't tell what it was, but I remember there were some weird instruments in this one.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I liked the hushed vocals in this one when it was. I think it
It's
worked really
it's
well.
very brooding and
Hmm.
it just sounds kind of evil. I don't know.
Yes, that's true. I
It's
like it a
very
lot.
percussion driven too, while at the same time being it's just an odd track for them.
Hmm. It is
Very
unusual.
unique.
Had It All, I like as well. It's has similar reverb, but it's also ballady. It's like country-ish as well, sort of like the Beast, but I think it works a lot better. It's I like Had It All. It's an interesting sound to it.
Mhm.
A lot of this is almost like a new reinvention or something because there's a lot of experimentation with tracks, but they seem more intentional than like the tracks are more put together and are not off the wall like they would be in Blood Mountain or something. Or another, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like this seems like they thought about the tracks a lot when they were making them. Savage Lands, great drum intro, great riff, great verses. I think there are a few tempo changes. I would have to listen to it more, but I'm pretty sure there were some, and I like them. And it's just the change to the chorus, the change back to the riff. It's just it shifts gears a lot, and I like how it does it so effortlessly. And that's it's fairly they Mastodon does that well. Gobblers of Dregs, I enjoyed. It's a long one. I
Mhm.
was sort of surprised by how long it was. It's
If the second album is 7 songs, but they're all like
yes.
6 to 8 minutes, really.
Hmm. And to me, it's the stronger. Well, I don't know if it is the stronger one actually. No, it's about the same. Does this one have 7? Yeah, this one has a few 7s on it. I think this one I just have 8s and 9s. But it's also less songs, so it doesn't bring it down as much when you have lower versions. Eyes of Serpents, was that xylophone? What was that intro? What was
Ooh,
I don't know what it was,
not
but it was
sure.
interesting. Then you have the more bluesy influence with the guitar again as well, or it's twangy, at least. And then it switches gears into Mastodon. Just more. It just sounds more like
Mhm.
traditional Mastodon, and it just meshes well with. It seems to me like the perfect meshing of what this album's intended to be and their past sound. So I like that bit. And then Gigantium, it's a 10.
Dude, that's so cool you gave that a 10. Yeah. So why?
It's interesting. This was very it has that thing from the Hunter that I was talking about where it goes between chord types. It goes between sad, depressive chords and upbeat chords, just constantly changing between them. And it changes even choruses and tunes. And there was just a moment in there when it was like I wasn't the biggest fan of the first bit, but then when the second bit hit in and I realized the change that the first bit was building up to this second portion of the song, and it seemed to come together as I listened to it, and it was just a good, it was good. It was a 10.
That's it.
It was
It's a 10. It's very uplifting. It just
yes,
swells and
especially towards the
builds.
end,
Yes.
but
It's
I,
it
it helped.
almost sorry, it's you're the sorry, you go.
It's helped lift you out of the album. Really,
Yeah,
is what I'll say.
great way to put it. I mean, if you were to look at this album as like a memorial or a
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh tribute to someone passing, Gigantum is the celebration of life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the let's remember the good times and let's promote the positive aspects of everything that we've gone through, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's beautiful. I yeah, I definitely echo the 10. So you have this as your number 4.
This is number 4. It's an 8.1. What happened is actually this was tied with Blood Mountain exactly originally, so I had to
Wow.
go back and forth between them and listen to a few of their top hits, and I like decided to
Blood
put Blood
Mountain beat
Mountain
it out,
above it.
right?
Yeah.
What was it? It had to have been what was it? Siberian Divide? No, Penultimate Skin.
Yeah, it was the last
Pendulous Skin.
few, the last
Yeah.
3 songs, which I don't think you liked as much as I did.
But it's like if you're listening to it as the whole album
Mm-hmm.
versus
This
just
album is a better experience. That's true.
yeah, for me. I
Uh,
mean, I guess I'll
I
go
think I
in.
even put it as a better experience in my thing, but
Hmm.
it didn't end up mattering since I put 6s on there and all that stuff. You know.
So yeah, the 6s probably took it down a
Hmm.
notch, right?
Yeah.
So
They were
when ranking, did you base it solely on the value of your chart?
What do you mean?
When when you did your ranking, you were essentially basing it on the spreadsheet and the final
Yes. Yes.
rating that it gave you.
I was actually sort of surprised this came out so high when I first did it. You know,
Interesting, yeah.
I was like
I
8.1. What?
it's funny
But
because I put all my stuff into the spreadsheets as well, and it matched up what I thought it was going to be
hmm
perfectly. Like I don't think there was any variation. The funny part was this was an 8.65 and this was an 8.66.
hmm
So beat it out by a point zero 0.01.
yes.
So
And whenever it's within a
which
0.0 something, I usually go back and forth.
yeah, and I mean to me these were always the neck and neck albums right here. So
Hmm.
that your spreadsheet works is all I'm trying to say.
I mean, for me, those are. Let's see. What was? What was? Which one did you just say?
That was Once More Around the Sun with Emperor of Sand.
Yeah, for me, they're within 0.5, but it's 7.83 and 7.79.
Hmm.
Like they're very close as well, but just the rounding worked out.
Yeah, it definitely mirrored what kind of already knew.
Hmm.
So it's cool. I'll have to fill out more of those for other bands that we
Yeah, I have a few other ones.
Yes, you do. This will not be your last appearance, my friend. But
Yeah. Give me
yeah,
more
here.
heads up next time so I can listen to the whole disc, or you have
Well,
more time.
the uh,
Re-listens.
the the other artists, I think you will already have, listened to a lot of their
Hmm.
discography. But here, let me wrap this up. So, Hushed and Grim for me is it's a triumph, kind of. It's definitely a triumphant end to their second tier of 4 albums. And believe me, I was impressed. I don't think I definitely did not expect them to release this album. I did not think they had this in them. When they announced it was going to be a double album, you know, I might have been a little jaded in thinking it was not going to deliver or just be, it should have just been one release. But this is good and consistent all the way through. Like, this is just as consistent as this album and Crack the Sky to me. It is very strong. The only 7 I have on here is Peace and Tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any 6s, and maybe it's because I've been able to sit with this album longer that I see what they're trying to do. Every song is kind of fairly unique, but still focused. And I think the unique nature of the songs in this album is what separates it out from this one. Because it feels as focused and as concise as this, but then it has the interesting songwriting choices that I'm able to differentiate the different songs a lot better, you know. Let's see. For me, it's impressive as a double album that it's 80 minutes long, but it doesn't feel bloated. I'm able to listen to it pretty easily. It has that Once More on the Sun kind of feel where you can just get through it, and that it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And I think we talked about the flow a little bit of the two separate albums, but the first one with like these very progressive rock kind of tracks in the beginning, Pain with an Anchor and The Crux and Sickle and Peace, into of like the ideal version of an Emperor of Sand pop chorus with More Than I Could Chew. You know, and then The Beast it's a unique take on their sound. I really like it. For me, it's not a 10. I think I gave it a 9. Let me double check. Yeah, it's a 9. More Than I Could Chew is a 10. But yeah, the Beast helps push it forward into Skeleton of Splendor, which I agree that's a great immersive song, and Tear Drinker and Pushing the Tides. That's the perfect place for those quick, like more energetic songs to be, you know? Because they didn't need to end the first disc with like a more epic
Indian song.
Yeah. They needed to keep the energy up or bring the energy into the album, you know? And then I prefer the second disc.
Yes.
A bit more. I mean, not a lot, but
I did as well.
Yeah. And it's the more reserved and hushed and grim for, disc on the album. It's very much focused on building an atmosphere and very much focused on kind of dragging you down into a state of mourning up until the final song to me. Peace and Tranquility is the weakest song on the album. It is what it is, but then Dagger is a 10 for me. It features a guest drummer from David Whitty. I don't know how you say his name, but he's a part of this band Municipal Waste.
Oh, I see.
He was also a part of a grindcore band called Discordance Axis, and a shit ton of other bands. He's also a huge appreciator of all things craft beer. So he wrote a craft beer column for Decibel magazine for many years. But Dagger's a great song, I think. Like, it really builds beautifully, and I like how ominous it is. You just feel that sense of dread throughout the song. Like,
it's like a dagger about to stab in your back. I just like it.
Et tu brute, nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Had It All is great too, and it's very desperate sounding, like kind of in a sad way. Another guest. There's actually a legend, Kim Thale from Soundgarden.
Oh,
there's a guest guitar solo on here. So that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for me, Eyes of Serpents and Gigantum are just great ways to end the album. They're both 10 out of 10 songs. So sorry. Been talking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But great way to end the album though. On those two songs. Yeah. Let me see what else I had to say.
About this album?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely took some time to click with me, but the overall concept and just everything behind it works really well. So for me, it's number 2 and a 9 out of 10. So there we go. That's it. That's the Mastodon discography. I guess I wanted to briefly touch on when we saw them live. I've seen them live twice. Going to see them live again for a third time tomorrow. Can't wait. First time I saw them was 2015. It was for Once More on the Sun.
Yeah.
And I bought this shirt. Do you remember when I went to go to that concert?
I remember when you came back with the shirt.
Yeah. But do you remember that I got in trouble for buying the shirt?
No, I didn't remember that at all.
Well, first off, the bill was awesome. It was, Mastodon, of course, and then Clutch. First time I saw Clutch.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, it was them touring for. It would have to be before Earth Rocker, because Earth Rocker was 2015. No, it was for Earth Rocker. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
It was either leading up or right after Earth Rocker came out. And then the band Graveyard from Sweden, which they're like a retro 70s rock band, probably one of those like earlier retro bands that style has really taken off. I think it's probably dying down currently, but it definitely took off in the 2010s, and Graveyard kind of paved the way. But awesome show. For me, the highlights for Mastodon would have to be, as I said, they played the Czar. That was phenomenal. They opened up with Tread Lightly and The Motherlode and Megalodon. They once again played that, but no Blood and Thunder. I have not seen them play with Blood and Thunder. So
are they gonna? Do you think
I am not looking.
Okay.
That's the thing. I'll find out one way or the other tomorrow, right?
I think it would be a hard one to play live because it's like, I think it carries some of that. It paints the scene very well. And also, it was a missed opportunity to play Blood and Thunder with Clutch right there.
Dude was there. Yeah. So, yeah. Clutch were awesome too. But no, the second time I saw him live was with you in 2018. I believe it was May. Here, I got it right here. May 19th. We saw him at the Charlotte Metro Credit Union Amphitheater. And we did miss the first 2 songs because we were in the parking lot pre-gaming a little bit too much. I don't remember much of Primus, unfortunately, because of
it was just pre-gaming. What was the cinnamon whiskey?
It was some Fireball.
Yeah,
there was some Fireball involved. Yeah. But it was just enough so that the Mastodon set was cool. What do you remember that concert?
I remember getting there, Ember City, singing that with everyone.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Uh, I remember Megalodon because it had cool visuals, but I didn't really remember the song that well.
Mm.
You know, I was more focused on the sharks they had on the screen. Uh, there was a few other ones that I remember, and then Primus picks up, but that's not
Different.
here. Yeah.
So for me, I definitely remember Megalodon and Ember City as well. I
hmm
remember Black Tongue. They
Black
played that
Tongue.
one.
Yes, they had that one
Yeah.
there.
Um. Then we get towards the end. I'm looking at the set list right now. We get towards the end, and my memory starts to fade. They played Mother Puncher
Okay.
and Ghost of Corellia.
hmm
Do not remember.
I don't think I wreck it. They were probably too deep for me to get into in the concert. Because
That
some
yeah,
concerts you have to listen to the songs before you
like
get
right
to them.
before you get
Yeah.
into it.
Most of the stuff from like Once More Around the Sun and The Hunter, you could probably just sing there, or Emperor of Sand. You could probably never listen to it and then listen to it in a concert and pick it up immediately. But
Mm-hmm. Because it's
from the
maybe
earlier
that's how it
albums,
was designed to be.
hmm
Is immediately recognizable in
yes,
a live setting. Other songs that they played that I don't remember them playing. Well, I do remember "Show Yourself." They did play that
yes,
one.
that one was
They
good.
they also played "Blade Catcher." Don't remember that one.
I don't remember that one at all.
Uh, they played "Toe to Toes" off of the
Okay, yeah.
Cold Dark Place EP, and then I mean that they closed with "Steam Breather" as their
I
final
remember
song.
that one.
Okay, I do not, but
I really like that intro. Dum, 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 dum,
see,
dum, dum,
I
dum, 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 dum. I like it. I like it.
now I want to hear it. I hope they play it live tomorrow. I'm
hmm
curious. But yeah, that was a good show. For me, they've always been good live. It's interesting,
Yes.
but certain people say that they are not very good live because the vocals are like weaker because they're
hmm
so focused on playing their instruments.
Yes.
But
That's the problem of having.
I think that's almost attached to a certain era where they were trying to hammer out figuring out, three different vocalists and Braun specifically. Like I
I
always
think
heard
that's
that
really
about the
hard.
Crack the Sky era and the Hunter, you know?
Yeah. But he doesn't. Well, it's
I mean, he
it would
takes
be
center
hard to play drum
stage. Yeah.
and sing
Like some of the songs, I mean, you know,
because on the
uh
album that he can really give it all to the drums and then also just do a new track and give it all to the vocals, right?
and that's exactly what he does, yeah.
On the live, you have to do it at the same time, which is unless you, I guess, lip sync and sing, record
Mhm.
it in the back. But I don't know if they would do. I don't think they do that. I don't
No,
know.
as far as I know, I don't think they do because otherwise why would people be complaining and,
Yeah, I think
but
it's. I think it's evident that they don't do that.
mhm. But to me, they're good live. I would definitely recommend seeing them.
hmm
I guess in closing, where what's their legacy? Where do you think they're going to head from here?
Who knows?
Who know? Only they do. To me, their legacy is they really revitalized metal
hmm
overall. To me, as a genre in the 2000s, and specifically
Yes.
helped to pioneer the importance of sludge and stoner.
hmm
Really,
And when you get them in references, and I mean, I know like Aqua Teen Hunger Force has a bunch of references to metal and stuff, like
yeah. But
Danzig's in the show and
I
all
forgot
that
to
stuff.
mention
But
they played a
yeah,
song in the movie, I think.
Cut you up with a linoleum knife, I think.
Yeah. So, and one last thing, they did that. And I forgot to mention, I own this split with this singer-songwriter called Feist. This is Feistodon. It's a split 7-inch. It's the one Record Store Day album I went out to buy. This came out in 2012. I think this is 2012 Record Store Day. And I actually went out and got this. It's got a Mastodon cover of Feist's song Commotion, which I'll tell you the truth.
Listened to that.
I've never listened to Feist.
I haven't.
Do you listen to the cover though?
I did listen to the cover.
And then it's got her cover of Black Tone, which is it's okay.
I know.
It's okay.
I remember when you had to get the record player you had to get the little this little small thing to set up. I remember when you went to the store to get that, is what I'm saying.
All right, but appreciate everyone who joined. Thanks for watching. Mark.
Done with my whiskey.
I'm done with my beer. Thank you for joining, man. It's been awesome. Been great to talk about just a band that we both share a lot of history with. Yeah. So, dude, cheers to everyone, and till next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
Till next time. Good night.